was a little late.
Morning, everybody.
You're listening to Miller and Mouton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Mouton.
Top of the morning to you on this Monday. What a remarkable sports weekend it was. Hope you caught some of it. Hope you had a good weekend yourselves. Hold on one second. How the heck are you? Miller and Mouton. MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark, I thought about just doing that for the entire show, and then you would take over and do it for another hour and a half. And that's how long the men's final took yesterday at Roland Garros in Paris. And it was riveting.
It really was. Now, I can honestly say I didn't watch the whole match. As David pointed out, it lasted for 5.5 hours. I believe it started at 9:30 in the morning, Eastern time.
Right.
I watched the beginning of the match, went to church,
Uh-huh.
went out to breakfast,
Right.
came home and watched the final 2 sets.
Uh-huh. Yep. We had one of those things happen in which I picked up the match early third set. Wife went out, ran a few errands, did some shopping, was gone about 2 hours. Came back and said, "Are you watching a replay?" And I go, "Oh no, it's still on. They're on serve in the 5th."
It was spectacular. And you know I am not a huge fan of the clay, of the tennis surfaces from an enjoyment standpoint. Roland Garros would be at the back end of mine.
Totally.
However, yesterday, that was something.
It's as good as I've ever seen. In tennis, it's as good as I've ever. Male, female, doesn't matter the surface, doesn't matter the stakes. It's as good as I've ever seen. You know, I mean, Federer and Nadal played an epic Wimbledon final when Nadal finally snapped Federer's streak. Djokovic and Nadal played nearly a 6-hour Australian Open final, which was very high level. But that's far. John McEnroe, late in the 5th set, said, quote, "This match and these two men make me proud to say I was a tennis player."
Several times in the 5th set, he was marveling over the shots of each of them, in which he said for Sinner, that's the best half volley he's ever hit in his life. And he wasn't being facetious.
No,
he wasn't overdoing it. He wasn't trying to put whipped cream on you know what. It was that good.
And that half volley was at 5-all, 30-all in the 5th. Right.
Man, oh man.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I have not been that energized, especially by the next wave. And that one, I'm like, okay, maybe I can watch these, you know. All right, maybe there's life after Djokovic.
There's no doubt. Because Sinner and Alcaraz put on a display for the ages yesterday. And oh yeah, I believe combined they're 45. 22 and 23 were the two participants.
Right.
And look it, David and I have said for over a decade that we were witnessing the golden age of tennis with Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. Would it ever get better? And you know, David, sports has a funny way of taking comments like that and just cramming them back down your throat. Because as we get older and the players get younger, their athleticism continues to be exceptional. Their ability in that sport to get to balls that seemingly you don't think they can get to and then hit miraculous shots. The athletes just keep getting better. And in that sport, those two put on a display yesterday. That was fun.
Yes, it was. And by the way, the 22-year-old who won his 5th major. So there's Djokovic, probably on his way out at the age of 38. Don't know if he'll ever get that 25th major. I think his best chance is coming up at Wimbledon. Don't think he can beat these young guys on the hard surfaces, whether it be clay or hard courts. You know, he can win 5 matches. He can win 6. I don't think he can win 7 anymore, except maybe on grass. And that's coming up in a few weeks. But had an American woman win the French for the first time in 10 years, just the 7th American woman to ever win the French. But the weekend started with a great hockey game. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, in which through 2 periods of that game, I commented to a few people in my life, yeah, 2 things. One, I thought the best hockey we were going to see this year was the Four Nations. I was wrong. And secondly, that's as good a 2 periods as I've ever seen. And then they decided to play into a second overtime and about midway through it before Florida evened the Cup final at a game apiece, Game 3 tonight. And oh, by the way, as that was going on, the federal judge finally signed off on a deal to completely change college sports as we know it, at least for now. Everybody's acting like this is going to be the lay of the land for the foreseeable future. Miller and Moulton thinks it's got 2 to 3 years before it's overturned in court. But okay, we can go with this formula for now.
Yeah, I have to be honest, David. I'm confused as hell with this new formula because we've got the whole NIL clearinghouse,
Right.
But apparently, if you got your NIL deal done before the judge passed the new resolution, those deals are apparently okay.
So the irony of ironies. Texas and Texas Tech were playing the softball national championship Friday night. The pitcher on the mound for Texas Tech, who signed the $1 million deal to leave Stanford and go pitch for Texas Tech, that deal would now not be approved. But literally the game started before the ruling came down. Not that there was anybody who was going to run in from the stands and take her off the field, but literally the reason Texas Tech was playing for the Natty was a deal that supposedly we're not going to be allowed to make anymore.
And
okay,
by all accounts, on Friday, all sports. I happened to spend Saturday morning. I had some driving around to do and a couple of things to do, David. And I ended up turning on the Serious College channel because I'm trying to figure this whole deal, this house settlement deal out. And the one thing that they were talking about is that in softball and in other sports, all of the schools were basically trying to get all their deals that would be illegal by Saturday morning done by Friday night at midnight.
Not that they're trying to cheat. Okay, not that schools and boosters will continually try to cheat in college athletics. I don't want anybody to get that impression. But
Darren Heitner, David, who's a attorney who's been as smart and is on top of the NIL deals as anyone in the country and represents, I don't know if he represents athletes, but he helps these deals go through. He's been someone on the NIL market from the beginning. Sent out a post 15 minutes ago, and at the end of it says, these coaches are looking for creative ways to keep paying players and wondering about the future legal challenges to the rules implemented without players' consent.
But there's all sorts of rules. Number of scholarships now has changed per sport. Schools can directly pay athletes up to $20.5 million, but they have to figure out what percentage of the money is going to go to what sports. That is immediately going to be challenged in court because almost all of the money is going to go to men's sports. So that's going to be a Title IX challenge of epic proportions. And I have no idea what the winning argument is in it. I have no idea. But I do know this, okay? If the schools lose, this agreement is junk. Absolute junk.
So we have a new version of the Wild Wild West,
Yep.
and it will involve the clearinghouse for the NIL department.
Right.
And as David said, the talk is of the $20.8 million that each school can spend on athletes, that 75% is going to go towards football. 15% is going to go to men's basketball. That means there's 10% left for everything else.
Right.
And if you don't think the Title IX people aren't going to have a problem with that, you're crazy.
Then all the other stuff, there has to be like formal contracts for the NIL, and supposedly can only be for a certain amount of money. And right.
And it has to be true NIL from what they're saying. It's not safe for play anymore. You can get NIL, but you have to do something for that NIL money.
Right. Now, I mean, we can all get creative here, though. You can see a booster like what we just had with Texas Tech softball. We'll come up with, hey, for $1 million, I need you to make 2 appearances. Well, what do you have to do?
That's not supposed to fly by the clearinghouse.
Supposedly, but we'll see. Anyway, Amanda Christovich will talk about it in a couple hours. That's just some of what happened this weekend.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, she gave up 5 in the first. Yeah, he ditched my Pirates for Arkansas. Good for him, but he's not high on my list. I don't blame him, but he's not high on my list.
Who's Zach Root?
Yeah, he ditched ECU for Arkansas. I mean, obviously he got paid more. I don't blame him, but it sucks.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We just got right into it today. We didn't even do the typical, hey, how was your weekend, Mark? Well, it was fine, David. How was yours? I mean, we didn't even do that. So how was your weekend, Mark?
Great, David. How was yours?
Actually, we left the house.
I know it was your anniversary. You ventured out.
Yes, we did. We did. Went to the beach, stayed. All right. Beautiful view overlooking the beach. All right. I like oceans. It's the same ocean I grew up with. It's just about 1,200 miles south. That's all. So, you know, it's nice. It's kind of how I remembered it, but you know, throw in a pool.
Except for no needles washing up on shore.
You know, that was a bad stretch. Okay. The folks in New York, they had dumped their garbage. They hadn't quite figured out the currents. Next thing you know, this stuff started showing up on the Jersey Shore. Okay. They just had to figure out how to do their garbage differently. Had to figure out how to, you know, get it out in the middle of that. It's a big ocean. You know, just get it out there a little bit. That's all. It's kind of like fishing. You know, you got to understand the current sometimes. Mark, I just don't think they understand how to throw the line. Then they figured out how to throw the line. And it really helped the beaches in Jersey a lot. Yeah. That was a rough stretch. That was I feel like that was Jersey stretch when, like, you know, Cleveland, the river caught on fire. You know, it was around the same time. That was the material in the mid-'70s for all the stand-up late night comedians. You know, you could go from Cleveland to Jersey and just tell your jokes.
It sounds about right.
Yeah.
It sounds about right. It took a couple decades before, you know, Michigan would jump in with Flint and basically just poisoning their citizens with the water.
Right. But, you know, for a good 15, 20 years, you could just go back to the old Cleveland, Jersey Shore jokes.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So we ventured out of the house. We've decided after 29 years, we still like each other.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
We're willing to try for 30.
Knowing that you were on your anniversary weekend and I knew you had left the house, I stayed away from you during the French Open. I did something I never do. I posted on X. And you saw it and then responded to me personally.
Right. I'm like, oh my goodness, Mark Miller's watching the tennis? So was our buddy David Sampson. He was it's as if he was being paid by TNT. Every time he posted, he was trying to get people to watch. It's like, why do you care if they watch? But okay.
Well, I do laugh at X because it's just there for media members. I don't think half the people, I think they're all into self-fulfillment on it. But I did notice that early fourth set, there was not a lot of posting on the French Open. By the time we got to the middle latter part of the fifth, it seemed that every post on X was about the French Open.
Right.
X has become a way for media members to tell other media members they should be watching this. That's all it is. It's a great place to get information on your favorite teams. Tell everybody, if you're a huge sports fan or a huge fan of a team, a sport, a player, it's a great thing to be on so you don't miss anything about your favorite team. Otherwise, whatever. You can answer our poll questions on it. That's what it's good for.
I will say our two finals are 1-1. I mean, we couldn't have asked for more, right?
No. First off, the hockey couldn't get any better. We've had back-to-back overtime games. The second one goes double overtime. Edmonton scores the goal to tie the game in game 2. The latest a game had ever been tied in the Stanley Cup final before. To send it to overtime. Ever. They've been doing this for a while.
Right. I think, do they claim like 1928? Is that their official, when they say that's our, our first one, or do they even go earlier than that? Like, because I sense we're coming up on 100 Stanley Cups. Am I wrong? Have they already done 100?
The first, now you're talking about the National Hockey League Stanley Cup, but the first Stanley Cup was actually given in 1894, David.
Wow. That Lord Stanley guy was a big fan early. But yeah, the NHL, when does the NHL say, hey, this is when we started? For some reason, I've got like 1928 in my head, but come to think of it, I think the Rangers won a cup 2 years before that. So I'm wrong. I know I am.
1910, the National Hockey Association took possession of the Stanley Cup. Beginning in 1926, only NHL teams have competed for the Stanley Cup.
Gotcha. So we're coming up on 100 then, NHL Stanley Cups. We lost 1 year due to a lockout. I don't know if they played throughout the war years or not. So we're coming up on 100, though, here pretty quickly.
But
so ever.
Right. And the old man does it again for Edmonton.
And the old man does it again for Florida.
He did it throughout. Scores the shorthanded goal, and in a similar fashion, able to make a heady defensive play, jump behind the defense before they knew what happened, takes the pass, gets the backhand to go in, and Florida evens the series.
Game 3 tonight.
Back in Florida.
By the way, the media covering the Stanley Cup final, they are in the best mood possible because the NHL scheduled them 3 days to get from Edmonton to Florida, but they also scheduled 3 days in between games 3 and 4. So the national media is all joking. Boy, what are we going to do on the Tuesday and Wednesday in between games 3 and 4? With a corporate credit card.
Maybe they'll figure out a way to say something, anything nice about the defending Stanley Cup champions, because this is as one-sided of coverage as you will ever see. And I realized I said before the series started, I picked Edmonton in 7. I said, I'm rooting for Florida. I'm rooting for Florida. No, and I mean, watching I didn't know that I was, but all of a sudden when goals are scored and my right arm's fist pumping, I'm like, are you attached to me? What's going on here? Like the national media and their love of Edmonton, and quite honestly, their disdain for the Florida Panthers, I've had enough. Like, I'm openly rooting for the Panthers now. And it's mainly because the media has driven me nuts.
I understood the bias towards Toronto. I got it. Listen, I understand a drought, 1967, since they won. We get it. But you're right, Mark. I didn't think it would make it to the television screen. Like, I listen to NHL Network Radio. Well, the channel's based in Canada. Every host is Canadian. So I get the fact. I know who they're in the tank for just based on who the teams are in the final. But, yeah.
But American television, and I know that their hosts are largely Canadian, but at some point when you've used your sport to gain access into this country and become legal U.S. citizens, you might want to take note of that, guys. That's all.
Not only that, it's their third year in a row in the final, trying to go back to back. They're really good. Got a Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame goalie, a few Hall of Fame forwards. Sam Bennett is just making more money by the shift. Unbelievable. The starting five is next.
Defining a new era in Men's Health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Paul, I believe that's the place with the robots. I was there once. Yeah. Not good, Clark. Not good at all. Hoping the doctor gets back to me today from results from the x-rays that I took on Thursday or Friday. I'm guessing he didn't work Friday. Not yet, Paula. They do the x-ray first. Then they'll stick me with the $1,000 bill for an MRI. I'm hoping to avoid that. If you want to know the truth, because I can't afford it. I have one of those. It's a Green Mountain grill, but it's a Traeger knockoff, if you will. It's a pellet grill. It was not working right. The Green Mountain Company has the best customer service I've ever seen because they had people on hand yesterday. So they called me back because my grill wasn't working right. I had to go underneath the grill and start detaching things. I went to lay down on my back on the cement and moved and thought I was going to die. I got this guy on the phone and I'm just laying there seeing stars. But I will say, if you are ever in the market for a pellet grill, I cannot say enough good things about the Green Mountain Grill Company. Holy crap, is their customer service spectacular. Spent about 2.5 hours with them on the phone. Funny thing is, EB, it doesn't hurt me to swing a golf club. And sometimes it does, but for the most part, I can't lift anymore, which has really bothered me because I've been working out every day. It doesn't hurt to do anything, Paula. What it does is every once in a while, I'll move in a certain direction, and it just shoots pain through my body.
Welcome back to Miller and Mouton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Greg Wyshynski will join us live from South Florida. He's getting ready to work today and tonight for ESPN and ESPN.com covering the Stanley Cup Final. Amanda Christovich from Front Office Sports. I think her vacation ended a few hours ago, just in time to tackle maybe the biggest story that she'll have on the beat that she currently has, which is covering the money involved in college sports. And Chris Perkins will join us. Dolphins, mandatory OTAs this week. They got to show up today. They got to be on the field Tuesday through Thursday. So are they going to trade Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith? What are they doing? Chris Perkins to join us about that. Magic numbers, Mark, are 80 and 87. Just 80 days away from the start of the college football season. That Thursday heading into Labor Day weekend when 16 games are on the docket. 87 days away from the Eagles hosting the Cowboys.
And 18. 18's the other magic number, David.
Mark, what's that?
Till my vacation.
What's the magic number when basically you're useless to me?
No, it's 18. I'll take you right on through that Friday.
Will you?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I have no choice. There's too much that has to be done.
Well, that's true. I mean, listen, you could mail it in. I mean, goodness knows what this show will sound like or whether it gets on the air.
That's
but
what would worry me. I am my biggest fear is that 21 days from now, while I'm lakeside,
the phone will ring.
That I'll be up at 5:30 in the morning going, don't ring. I'll just be staring at it.
He'll just be staring at the phone. Don't ring. Please don't ring. Don't. Noonan, don't.
Don't do it.
Time now for
The starting five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the starting five.
Game 2 of the NBA Finals, Oklahoma City. Similar to game 1, except this time they added to it in the fourth quarter instead of succumbing. Up 8 at the half, up 9 after 3, which was the exact margin they were up going to the fourth quarter in game 1.
Can't turn it off, though. You can't think a lead safe.
No.
Even though they extended the fourth. It's like, okay.
It's the Pacers after all.
Right.
But some big differences between games 1 and 2. First off, OKC won 123-107. Secondly, remember how they got out rebounded by 17 in game 1? Yeah, they won the battle of the boards by 8 in game 2. Oklahoma City scored 10 more points at the free throw line than did the Pacers. A lot of free throws in this game, like over 60 between the two teams. A lot of free throws. SGA with 34. A couple guys off the bench. Alex Caruso, Aaron Wiggins. They combined to hit 9 threes to aid the Thunder's cause. 7 in double figures for the Pacers, led by Halliburton with 17. Game 3, Wednesday in Indianapolis. Stanley Cup Finals resume tonight. Series tied at 1. Edmonton won game 1 with 30 seconds left in overtime. Florida won game 2, 9 minutes into the second overtime. Oilers 6-3 on the road in the playoffs. Panthers just 4-3 at home. 8 o'clock TNT, game 3 in the battle for Lord Stanley's Cup. In the French Open, 2 is better than 1. On Saturday, the second seed Coco Gauff needed 3 sets, but she won her second major. First American woman to win the French since Serena 10 years ago. And then yesterday, the second seed Carlos Alcaraz topped the top seed Jannik Sinner 7-6 in the fifth. The second longest Grand Slam men's final ever. Sinner had the most match points in a Grand Slam final to ultimately not win the match. He had 3 in a row. Alcaraz was down 2-1, 3-5, love 40. Served his way out of that and then broke Sinner to even up the fourth set and won the fourth and fifth set in tiebreakers. Said it earlier, I'll say it again. John McEnroe said, these two men and this match make me proud to be a tennis player. Sinner's 23, Alcaraz is 22. They've combined to win the last 6 majors and 7 of the last 8. Maybe the future of the sport's okay. Baseball. So are we going to take the Rays seriously, or is this just a thing? They do have the best record in the sport since May 20th. They're 14-4. Took 2 out of 3 from the Marlins, 3-2 the final yesterday. They're just 4.5 back of the Yankees. I'll be at 5 back in the loss column. Yankees lost 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox in the Bronx. Boston with a 5-run sixth. Out-homered the Yankees 5-3, although Judge hit 2 more homers yesterday.
He's still hitting 396, by the way.
Right. He went 3 for 4. He's hitting 396. It's June 9th.
Yeah.
Right. He's the preeminent slugger in the sport. He's hitting essentially 400. Damn ridiculous. Did you see, by the way, the pitcher for the Red Sox was quoted before the game as saying, okay, if the Yankees were the only team to offer me a contract, I'd retire.
His dad grew up a diehard Sox fan. So the kid was raised to hate the New York Yankees.
Right.
Basically said he had that game circled on the calendar for a month when he found out he was pitching against the Yankees. I love it.
So needless to say, it made the tabloids Sunday in New York. Aaron Judge saw it when he homered off him in the first. He kind of stared at the kid around the bases, kind of like, just so you know, we don't particularly like that kind of Kid afterwards is like, yeah, I got the win. What do I care? Tigers took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. All 3 games sold out in the Motor City. 4-0 Detroit yesterday. Twins, they snap a 3-game skid. They're 7 back of Detroit. They beat Toronto 6-3. The Blue Jays tied with Tampa Bay 4.5 back. Cleveland avoided a sweep at home at the hands of Houston. Guardians won 4-2. They're 7.5 back of the Tigers. Wow.
And the
Mariners
are 8.5 back. I mean, the Tigers have really distanced themselves in that division.
They have the biggest lead in Major League Baseball. Mariners 3-2 over the Angels. They snap a 5-game skid. They're 2.5 back of the Astros. The Mets, best record in the National League. They swept the season series from the Rockies. They hit 6 homers yesterday in a 13-5 win. And very quietly, they're now 4.5 games ahead of the Phillies, who have lost 9 of 10. By the way, when you showed up at the ballpark yesterday and you were the Phillies, you'd lost 8 of 9, and Skeens is on the hill for the Pirates. Yeah, they lost 2-1 late. Skeens 1 run in 7 2/3 and gets a no decision for his efforts. I'm telling you, the kid's going to go 8-13 this year with a 1.8 ERA, and we're going to have to give him the Cy Young. So the Giants beat the Braves in another 1-run game. The Braves have lost 7 in a row. Giants have won 5 in a row. The Braves are 10 games below 500. They are inventing ways to lose, by the way. In their last 4 games, they gave up 7 in the 9th to lose 11-10. They lost on a wild pitch walk-off on Friday night. Unreal. Dodgers avoided the sweep in St. Louis. Kershaw got the win, 7-3 over the Cardinals. Kershaw now top 20 all-time in strikeouts. He's like 17 away from 3,000. Padres 1-0 over the Brewers. Machado homered. So the Padres and Dodgers are tied in the loss column. San Diego's a game back. The Dodgers and Padres begin a 3-game series tonight in San Diego. The Padres have their pitching all lined up. The Dodgers pitching is a mess. Got to figure San Diego takes at least 2 out of these next 3. These 2 teams hate each other, by the way. We shall see. Reds swept the Diamondbacks 4-2. Royals 7-5 over the White Sox. The Gator, Caglianone, who was 2 for his first 21. Yeah, he went 4 for 4 in his 6th Major League game yesterday. How hard's this Major League Baseball thing? I don't know. It's not that hard. I went 4 for 4. How long you been in the majors? I got here Monday. A's beat Baltimore 5-1, and Texas beat Washington 4-2. College baseball, the 3-seed Arkansas, the 6-seed LSU, the 8-seed Oregon State, the 13-seed Coastal Carolina, and the 15-seed UCLA. They made it to Omaha, as did unseeded Louisville and Arizona. A pair of unseeded teams, Duke and Murray State, will play today. The winner is the 8th team to get to Omaha. Louisville beat Miami yesterday 3-2 to knock out the Canes, and Oregon State beat Florida State 14-10 yesterday to knock out the Noles.
Arizona and Coastal, the road teams basically that advanced. Arizona took down North Carolina, who was a seeded team. Coastal took down Auburn. They were both seeded, but Auburn was the 4 seed and hosted.
And Murray State has a chance to be the third road team when they're at Duke for the deciding game today. You know, the old Pac-12 would have 3 of the final 8, but Oregon State's an independent, and, well, Arizona's in the Big 12. Oh, yeah, and UCLA's in the Big 10.
There you go.
Golf, Canadian Open. Ryan Fox beat Sam Burns in probably the most boring playoff I've ever seen. It's a par 5. It's a birdie hole. They played it 4 times. There wasn't a single birdie to be had. Fox won it with 4 pars. Burns 3-putted for bogey on the last hole. By the way, had you ever seen them change the hole mid-playoff before?
Yes, I thought I had in another tournament a couple years ago where they did this. They did a similar thing where they kept playing the same hole.
By the way, I was wrong. They both reached the par 5 the last time in 2. Fox 2-putted for birdie. Burns 3-putted for par. My bad. LIV, Joaquin Neiman. Hey, he can win on the LIV tour, but now we got a major coming up this week. We'll be lucky if he makes the cut. 4th win of the year. Phil, Bryson, and Bubba all finished 2 shots back. By the way, go check it out on YouTube. Phil Mickelson's chip in. It's the best golf shot you're going to see this year. It's
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I mean, he's turning 55 years old. My goodness. LPGA American Jennifer Kupcho won the ShopRite Classic in Jersey by a shot. Racing, hell of a week for Denny Hamlin. He began it losing in court against NASCAR. He's waiting on his fiancée to give birth to their second child, second race in a row, in which he had instructions as to whether or not he was going to race or not. Well, he raced and he won the Michigan 400. Chris Buescher second. Our buddy Ross Chastain was 6th. It's his 3rd win of the year. NASCAR heads to Mexico. First,
did you see what Hamlin did after winning the race?
Well, I saw he was trying to do the donuts and he ran out of gas.
He gets out of the car. He gets the checkered flag. Where was the race again?
It was in Michigan.
Yeah, he does the OH to the Michigan crowd.
Oh! By the way, it's his 57th career win, one more than Kyle Busch. He's a legend, whether you like him or not. Hamlin may not race in Mexico this week, though, because of the birth of his child. And finally, Nick Chubb expected to sign today with the Houston Texans. Lots of mini camps underway this week. Today is a day that a lot of guys have to show up. Tuesday through Thursday is usually when guys have to practice. One of those teams is the Dolphins. Mini camps, by the way, this mini camp for most teams is mandatory. We'll see the disgruntled contract people who don't show up and those that grit their teeth and do. Jalen Ramsey will not be at Dolphins minicamp. He's expected to be traded. And Jonnu Smith is apparently hour to hour as to whether he's staying or going. Chris Perkins to join us in about an hour and 45 minutes to discuss. And it's 7 minutes before the hour mark. That was the starting 5. 5 big stories. And are you disgruntled? Because he is. Here on Miller and Mouton.
We will talk hockey with Greg Wyshynski coming up in about 50 minutes time. Amanda Christovich to talk about the settlement deal with the House. And as David mentioned, Chris Perkins ahead as well on Miller and Mouton. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I have to be honest, Robes. I believe that Live Golf should sponsor this show because nobody on earth gives the Live Tour more time than we do, particularly David in the starting five. Because if it wasn't for David, I would never know who won a Live tournament because I don't watch a second of it. A second. And the funny thing is I'm fascinated by the tour and what they're trying to do. Oh, Moulton does more for Live Golf than any other show in this country, and I'd guarantee it. You ever hear anybody talk Live? You listen to this. If you listen to Sports Talk, who else talks about that tour more than David? Robes, I only did because David texted it to me. It's the only reason I saw it. Incredible shot. Incredible shot. Clark, he knows we have a golf audience. He's filling 22 minutes with that segment. And, between that and the IndyCar results he give, I can't explain it. I was just explaining that Live Golf should sponsor this show because there is no show host in the country that gives them more props than one David Moulton. You can listen to Sirius all day long when they do their updates. They don't tell you who won the Live tournament. Clark, I am not disagreeing with anything about the starting five. I am just merely saying that Live Golf should sponsor the starting five because they get more love there than they get nationally in 4 months.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Monday, 80 days away from the start of the college football season as we see it. Week 0 doesn't count for us. That Thursday heading into Labor Day weekend does. 16 games, many of them legit. So 80 is the college football magic number. 87 days until the Eagles host the Cowboys. Sorry, Hall of Fame game doesn't cut it. Preseason games don't cut it. We need games that count in the standings and that are, feel legit. There's like one legit week 0 game. So for those of you who want to say the magic number 75 for college, I would argue it, but technically you'd probably be right. But we're going with 80 and 87 here on Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X.
Text line is open. 21,000 is the number. If you have not texted the show in a while, you need to text the keyword Miller, and then you can text anything you want, like Elizabeth, who did.
Hey, hi, Elizabeth.
This is something I would never have done in Acts 1, 2, or 3, David. And I wouldn't have done it. And I'll read the text, and you'll understand this is something I would have never done before.
Okay.
Hi, Miller and Moulton. My name is Elizabeth. I'm contacting you because my boyfriend and his dad are your number 1 fans. Now, if there's 2 of them, I don't know how they both could be our number 1 fan. Could be number 1 and number 2, but I'll take you at your word, Elizabeth. My boyfriend listens to every episode, always text idea, and loves the polls. If we do one, obviously. Would you guys mind doing a shout out for my boyfriend, Brian, and his dad, Kent? It would truly mean the world to them. Thank you, and God bless you both. Well, Brian, Kent, hey!
She went God bless on us?
She went God bless.
Well, if you're going to go God bless on us, we have to do the shout out.
Right.
Elizabeth. Come on. You didn't wish us well. By the way, Elizabeth, could you do us the favor? Could you rank us, just you, on a scale of 1 to 10? And you're allowed to use negative digits. You are. You're allowed to say -4. I'm so sick of hearing your guys' voices. Will you two please just go away?
I wonder also how many of you owe David a small thank you. Because David does the starting 5 every day and for 2 weeks was boring you to death with French Open scores. I know he was me. And he did remind us, however, that if you wanted to watch the French Open, you needed to watch it on TNT or True TV. Now, for those of us who've moved to YouTube TV, it's just merely finding it. You don't have to go look for a channel. But the majority of you are still hooked up to cable. in one way, shape, or form.
Yep.
That's a fact. I know there's been a lot of cord cutters, and you can say, well, I've cut the cord. The fact of the matter is more people, at least in the markets that we are are still hooked up to a cable system.
And nationally, okay, it's cable still, has the majority. It does.
But I wonder if you gave David a little quiet thank you when you stumbled upon the French Open at any point over the weekend, whether it was Coco Gauff winning on Saturday or Alcaraz winning that epic final against Sinner yesterday. I watched it on True TV just because.
So you wouldn't even do it on TNT?
Right.
You went True TV?
Well, it gives me a choice. If it's on multiple networks when you're on YouTube TV, do you want to watch it on this, or this? No. I'm going to watch it on True TV, damn it.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Turner, anybody catch the news that came down late Friday? I think it was late Friday. Maybe it was Saturday, but I'm going to go with late Friday, the whole business week and everything. Did you see where ESPN is going to sell off at least one of their national semifinal college football playoff games to TNT? Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to tell you how expensive it is to be ESPN. Remember, what kicks in next year? In fact, what kicks in about 3-4 months?
The new NBA deal, kids.
And they're shelling out as much for the NBA as they currently are for the NFL. Oh, don't you worry. They'll be shelling out more in 2 to 3 years for the NFL when the NFL goes to 18 games, and that means their entire CBA has to be torn up, which means all of their network TV deals get to be redone, and the NFL gets to say to certain networks like NBC and ESPN, let me get this straight. You're paying the NBA as much as you're paying us? How about if you throw, just for argument's sake, $1 billion a year on top of what you're paying us now? That's if you want to keep this thing called Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football.
And even though it's pennies on the dollar when it comes to ESPN from the NFL and NBA standpoint, what have they been trying to do all summer? Get the SEC to play a ninth conference game. And in order to do that, they've offered what? More money to the SEC. It's why baseball went away on ESPN.
Yeah, they just said, you know what? The $500 million a year is not worth it to us anymore. It's just not. And it really makes me wonder in 3 years, especially this year, hockey's ratings were promising, encouraging until this year. For whatever reason, people didn't watch hockey this year. And maybe it was because certain marquee teams didn't do well, whatever the reason. But in a year in which most sports viewership went up and everybody's playoff viewership has gone up, not the NHL. It's down. And I'm curious, Mark, if in 3 years' time, will ESPN continue to shell out $400 million a year for hockey? Because that's what they shell out. Turner shells out $300. ESPN shells out $400. And I'm curious if they think it's worth it. They just walked away from baseball at $500 million a year. They're farming out national semifinals of the college football playoff. Games that attract about 20 plus million people. And they said to Turner, yeah, you want one of them? Hell, if the price is right, we'll give you both. But how about if we just start with one? Right.
For the record, the NBA numbers had been up. The game one numbers are in. It is the lowest rated game one of the finals in the Nielsen People Meter era which goes from 1998 to now. The only two games that were lower were COVID-affected games. Bucks Suns in July of 2021 and Heat Lakers in the bubble on the final day of September in 2020. So the NBA game did 8.9 million on ABC.
Lowest rated finals game ever. All righty then. Okay. Well, listen, at least you can honestly say this isn't David Stern's league anymore, because most of us would have believed David Stern would have saw this coming and he would have made sure that the Knicks won the Eastern Conference Final. Would have assigned certain officials to make certain calls. Okay, let's be honest. David Stern, we figure he would have found a way to put the Knicks in the NBA Finals just to save the ratings.
And hey, it's a game one that if people missed, they missed an all-time epic comeback. I mean, Pacers did things that no one had ever seen in a final game before. So it's on you, but by and large, and our audience has told us they're not NBA fans. We try to beat them over the head with it because we think the product, particularly these two teams, play an entertaining style of game, but still a lot of threes. And when it goes bad, it can be ugly.
Haven't seen the ratings for Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals yet. We went over how the Game 1 ratings were bad. Barely beat softball. In fact, you and I were worried that Game 2 might lose head-to-head to softball because the softball game was the title game. Now, my guess is it didn't. A, it went double overtime, and B, the softball game was over in the first inning. I mean, I watched the first inning, and then I didn't need to watch anymore. I mean, Texas scored what, 5, 7?
I think 5 of the first run. Or first
it was over. So I went back to, the hockey pregame. I'm like, okay, I'm good. So Game 3 tonight, by the way, 8 o'clock TNT. Say it again. The Oilers have a better road record than the Panthers do home record.
Nugent Hopkins for Edmonton, questionable tonight. It looks as if he'll skate, but he had been put on the top line with Hyman out. So that is something worth paying attention to. And we'll ask Greg Wyshynski what he knows. Probably not a whole hell of a lot before today's pregame skate, but we'll find out what he knows about Nugent Hopkins and any other nuggets he may have before tonight's Game 3. He joins us in a little over 25 minutes time. We've got to come up with a poll question, David.
We do. We were lucky last week. We had a National Cheese Day, Egg Day. We had a lot of days last week that were good. We may have to, it is U.S. Open week in golf. I don't know if that'll generate a question or two. Stanley Cup Finals is 1-1. Don't know if we can do anything off of that. But you're right. Can we do something off of the Alcaraz Sinner match? Did you by chance watch?
We could, but I do think it might have to be about the house settlement. We could put over under number of lawsuits between now and next year that will completely throw this house settlement agreement to the curb.
Could just ask folks, do they understand what the new rules of college athletics are?
There's no way. Do you?
No. And I've read 8 articles in the last 3 days. I don't understand. It's complicated. Number of scholarships, are walk-ons officially dead? The money, who can pay what and to whom?
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I think Rory missed the cut in Canada on purpose, everybody. I think that was a tank job to get the hell out of there. He agreed to play, didn't want to, and just got the hell out of Dodge. That's my personal opinion. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Nick's, I'm with you too, because he's the huge French Open fan, and we get the best French Open final ever, and no ambient. I was actually thinking of him yesterday while watching the French Open. How excited he must have been. That's how twisted you SOBs have gotten me. I'm now thinking about the Twitch chat room while watching sporting events. My only thought with that one is that could be a whole day's show almost. I hate doing it at 7:20 when we've got 3 interviews coming up because we can't give it its proper. It's so good, we're not going to give it its proper due. That's my only worry.
Okay.
You text me 3 times where? I saw it on the text line. I text you back this morning. And I sent you my personal phone number. So you should have got that back this morning at like 6:15. If you didn't get a text from me this morning, then I don't know what to tell you.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Greg Wyshynski covers hockey for a living. He'll join us in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Amanda Christovich, we think her vacation just ended. We know they finally signed off on the new college sports financial deal. This is what she does for a living, so she's contractually obligated to join us. She's not. It's just at this point, we're both so emotionally invested, Miller and Moulton and Amanda, in this story. We just figured we'd end it together.
End it. That's cute. Like this story's ending, for crying out loud. This story is just getting started, for crying out loud.
We'll end it together, ... for now.
All right. David, you have not only off the record with me, but I believe on the record on the air, have claimed you will continue to do this show until my daughter graduates high school.
7 years.
And then all bets are off.
You're probably on your own.
Right.
Okay. I'm already looking forward. I'm like Dan Patrick, who I guess picked out a date 3 years ago. The date's 2.5 years away now, but he has already told everybody, I think it's like Christmas Eve of 28 or something. He said, I'm retiring. So he's told everybody. He's told his staff, everybody, his affiliates, this is it. I'm done.
I got you. But you have said you would take me and this show through my daughter graduating high school.
Yes.
That would be, if we pull that off, you have no idea how amazing that would be. Probably time for me to say, if you're interested in making that happen, you might want to text sponsor to 21,000. But the question I ask of you is this, David. If indeed we were to do the show for another 7 years.
Yes.
Will they have figured out between the house settlement and NIL, will they have once and for all figured out how to pay collegiate athletes by the time my daughter graduates high school? Wow. You know, the class of 32.
Hello. Yes. Yes. Because when this gets blown up in court, and it's going to get blown up in court, then it doesn't leave him a lot more options. And I think there will be a staggering amount of pressure entering the 2030s to get it all straight, because also that's, Mark, when the next big thing could happen. That's when the SEC and the Big Ten could break away.
Okay.
This playoff is going to go through 2031. So right as the next decade's beginning, is if they want to go do their own thing. And so, yes. So I think either way, you and I both know this will, I don't know, it could last a year, it could last 3, but it's going to lose in court. And then they're going to have to come up with something else. And I don't see what other choice they have besides employees, to try to rein in costs. Because think about it, if you're the schools and you've agreed you're willing to do $20.5 million, well, you're not going to want to do more than that, right?
Well, and every year it goes up exponentially, like cost of living thing. So it's going to be every year it'll go up. But yes, to your point, they're not going to want to renegotiate and all of a sudden say it's $30.8 million.
Right. And let's do, pure capitalism here, in which, the team could be a $70 million payroll. No, they're going to want to, and they're going to have TV contracts. That's the other thing. The Big Ten deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC, it's up at the end of this decade. I just think, Mark, yes, I think we'll have it. It'll be close. But yes, I think we'll announce a settlement, a deal for college sports before your daughter graduates high school. That will be what it is we use for the rest of the 2030s. It'll be close, though.
It will be close. One other thing, David, we got a text, and the texter is right. He says, David, you missed something in the starting 5. And you did.
Okay.
The little race was run on Saturday, and Sovereignty won the Belmont.
Well, we're tired of Kurt Becker being right. Okay?
And that's what I wanted to get to. Miller and Moulton are morons.
And we said it on Friday, though. We did.
You can roll the tape back because both of us picked journalism.
And then
they said, what the hell are we doing? Becker's got every damn race right. He said Sovereignty's going to win the Belmont, and the 2 Yahoo hosts decide to pick journalism.
Right. We both pick journalism and then go, why are we picking against Kurt Becker? He's smarter than us. He does this for a living. Well, he's not a handicapper, but he does horse racing for a living. He did say, he goes, I think Sovereignty's a really good horse. He's like his way of saying, I think Sovereignty could have been a 3-year-old any year and been in the mix. Take Secretariat out of the equation, but basically the last 30 or so years, Kurt Becker was trying to say, I think this horse at any time in the last 30 years could have challenged or won some of these Triple Crown races.
And I don't know how many of you watched the Belmont. I had to remind myself late Saturday. I'm like, about 6:30. I went, the Belmont's
on Fox. Right. So they had a big weekend. They had LIV golf. They had UFL or USFL, whatever it's called, and they had the Belmont. I'm telling you, people were flocking to Fox this weekend. Flocking.
And I'll tell you what. Try to say that 10 times in a row without it being an FCC violation.
Come on, they were flocking to Fox.
I'll let you say it.
They were flocking to Fox. You can't say it quickly. Okay, you can't do them back to back.
Flocking.
Okay, you can't say flock into Fox like Ben and Jerry's. You can't do it that quickly. You got to have a pause in the middle. It's kind of like that golf swing that's got just a little pause at the top. You're flocking to Fox. I'm not going to say it anymore.
I wouldn't if I were you. I'd quit while you're ahead.
I can't believe
like Aaron Judge in March and April. You were so good right there.
Like 5 for 5 right now. It's unbelievable.
But yes, to the texture, we did miss that in the starting 5. But Sovereignty and Kurt Becker. Kurt Becker goes 3 for 3. I actually sent him a text late Saturday to thank him for his contributions to the show, for being right on every horse race. Said, we'll talk to you before the breeders and make everybody some more money. But the two best horses of the 3-year-old class came to the top of the stretch running pretty much neck and neck. And Sovereignty said, I'm better than you.
Yeah, journalism said, I'm going to make my move. And Sovereignty said, that's cute. That's cute. You go for it there, big fella. Good for you. Keep going. Keep going. I'm coming on the outside right now. I'm passing you. I'm passing you. You're going to finish second again. You used to second? Get used to second. I'm going to victory lane or the winner's circle, whatever we call this. It's on Fox. I get my racing confused.
Now we'll interview the horse.
Right. How'd you feel out there? Well, I'd like to thank my team. Okay.
Wouldn't it be great if the horses, they had hats for the horses the way the NASCAR drivers put on?
Yes.
Put on whatever they're feeding the horse, whatever barn he's in, whatever, bourbon sponsors that particular barn. That would be fantastic.
I do like it when they do the interview with the jockey while he's still riding the horse, though. I've always thought that was cool.
I've always thought it's a hell of a tough interview for the interviewer. The interviewee's just got to answer questions. She's got to ride the horse, ask questions, and stay close enough to get them answered. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no.
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So we'll come back next hour and do the coolest thing you've seen.
Oh, yeah, I probably should find it. Might just be the French Open. I might just cheat today.
That's fine. By the way, today's an interesting day in sports history. 6 years ago today, Ortiz got shot.
Yep.
Justify won the Triple Crown today. And what was that, like 2013 or? Blackhawks beat the Flyers today to win the Cup in 2010. That was their first Cup since '61. Ray Bourque won his Cup today in 01. The last Canadian Stanley Cup win was today in '93.
Yeah.
And the greatest fight nobody saw was today, Holmes-Norton in '78.
Greg's on.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Amanda Christovich to try to explain to us some of the very complicated deal that got done late Friday night into Saturday involving college athletics moving forward, how much money, who pays what, scholarships, walk-ons, etc. Amanda Christovich at the top of the hour. Chris Perkins in an hour to talk Dolphins. Their mandatory OTA begins today. Who's going to show up, who's not. Greg Wyshynski has been kind enough to come on this show for over a decade. Follow him on X at Wyshynski, WISHYNSKI, ESPN, ESPN.com. And listen, Greg, since you're kind enough to help us out, the least we could do is try to get 3-4 people to listen. You're doing a show all this week at 3 in the afternoon, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Me and my podcasting mate, Jeff Merrick, who I did a show called Merrick versus Wyshynski for a very, very long time as a podcast. We'll be sitting down and doing a live version of the show at 3 p.m. It's on the Daily Face Off YouTube channel. Daily Face Off is a website that Jeff works for that does a great job covering the game. And so every day at the arena, I'll be in various states of shirt and ties, getting ready for some sort of television thing, and sitting down with Jeffy for an hour. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right. It's hard, I mean, if you were to grade this series through 2 games, we're doing an A. We've had 2 overtime games, 2 brilliantly played games. Is there anything that you take away from games 1 and 2 that you think a team has an advantage with going forward?
Well, I mean, we should say, first of all, that by every metric, this is one of the most evenly played series I think we've ever seen through 2 games in the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, when you look at the expected goals, they're about even. Obviously, even on the score sheet, and both teams showing that they can defend extremely well and score. I mean, an incredible amount of goals in the first 2 games of the series as well. But if there's an advantage, it's Florida's. I mean, let's be honest. They were 1 bounce away from winning game 1. They win game 2, and the winning game 2 in double overtime is critical, because now they take the advantage that Edmonton had in the series, which is home ice, away from them, and come back to Sunrise with a chance to, really take control of this series back at home. If they go down 2-0 in this series, I think we're having a different conversation, because I think that Edmonton really was excelling at feeling a different sense of confidence, let's say, than last season against this Florida team. But now that it's 1-1, I think the Panthers have an opportunity to do something that no one else has been able to do to Edmonton in the playoffs, which is to put them on their heels and bother them a little bit.
Do you think also that Knobloch now can't put McDavid and Draisaitl together as much as he seemingly did in the first 2 games in Edmonton? Or do you think he just says, well, actually, there's no more than 5 games left in this season, boys. Get ready. You're logging a lot of ice time.
I think he'll still be opportunistic about it, but your point is a good one, which is that it's a different situation on the road where you don't get the last change. And, it's something that Paul Maurice, the coach of the Panthers, nodded at, in the sense of, like, deployment's going to be different when the games are in Florida. And he's right. I mean, if you look at game 1 of the series, where there was just a parade of icing calls against the Panthers, some of those were against their 4th line. And whenever the 4th line would ice the puck and face-off comes back in the defensive zone, here come McDavid and Draisaitl. So, like, you're not going to have those opportunities necessarily if you're Edmonton, to take advantage of those matchups, because Maurice can then respond with whatever line he wants to counteract that. So I don't think you'll not see it. I mean, they are scoring at a preposterous rate, and I have a story on ESPN.com this morning about, as a duo, where Draisaitl and McDavid are starting to rank amongst the best all time in the playoffs. But you're certainly going to see, I think, less of it than we saw in Edmonton.
Forsling for Florida was praised by Maurice after game 2 about his ability to play defense. And I thought it was an interesting comment, because we think of really good skating defensemen as guys that are contributors offensively first. And Forsling's done a tremendous job trying his best to slow down McDavid. It's unusual to have a defenseman that skates that well to think defense first, isn't it?
It is, and also someone who plays the way that Forsling plays on both ends of the ice, and is still ready to take a puck to the face by diving in front of a shot, which is something he also does with a lot of frequency. But again, you look at some of these players on Florida that are just amongst the best defensive players in the league. Forsling's one of them. Obviously, Barkov has won the Selke Trophy 3 times and won it this year as the best defensive forward in the league, and he's a -4 in the series right now and doesn't have a point, because when you are trying to defend against McDavid, you are doing everything you can to accomplish that feat, sometimes at the detriment to your offense. And even then, you're still gonna give up stuff to him, because he is the best player in the world and one of the most dominant offensive forces we've ever seen in hockey.
That assist when he went through Barkov and Ekblad. I mean, we're not talking just any 2 guys here. He went through Barkov and Ekblad turned them into cones, and then fired a bullet pass so that Draisaitl can put a one-timer into the net. That's as good of an assist that's probably ever been manufactured in the Stanley Cup Finals, right?
Absolutely. And the gift that he has, and I think, was on full display in that sequence, which is that we've never seen anybody do what he does at full velocity. Like, other guys have had great hands, and other guys have been able to deke out opponents, but no one's ever been able to do it when skating at the speed that McDavid skates at. I mean, it's just like, it's the most remarkable thing I've ever seen from an offensive player. And I got to see a bit of Mario Lemieux when he was in his prime. I kind of caught Gretzky at the end of his career more than in the 1980s. But I just don't think we've ever seen this before. Like, someone who has that skating ability and the ability to do what he does with the puck when he is at the peak of his velocity. It's just, I mean, you can't defend it. Like, I think the Panthers are the right mindset here, which is that you're just trying to mitigate. You're just trying to slow him down a little bit. Like, you're not going to stop him. You just can't stop him. But if you can slow him down, then you've got a chance to win the series.
Craig Wyshynski, ESPN, ESPN.com. Follow him on X at Wyshynski, WYSHYNSKI. And by the way, Monday through Thursday of this week, 3 p.m, a 1-hour daily face-off YouTube channel discussion with his buddy Jeff Merrick, if you're into hockey.
And Greg, to your point, I mean, I saw Wayne play. Wayne was incredible. He wasn't anywhere nearly as fast as McDavid. Not close. And that's the part, to me, the speed at which he's able to do these moves blows me away. Hey, what do you know about Nugent Hopkins for tonight? They're already without Hyman. That was a big loss. Nugent Hopkins jumped up on that line. I know he's questionable for tonight. Looks as if he'll play. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we haven't been to availabilities yet this morning, so I can't tell you definitively where he's at. They called him a game time decision yesterday, which was a surprise because we didn't think he was really dealing with much of anything after game 2. But that's a huge loss. I mean, I'm sure he'll go. I think he probably would have been ruled out if he doesn't go, but you still have to wait and see if that's the case. That's a guy that does everything right for them. He's a kind of a Swiss Army knife of a player in his ability to do things great offensively, great defensively. He's at this point, they're one of their most veteran players. I mean, he's been there the longest as far as the homegrown Oilers go, which is kind of amazing to think of because I still remember when that kid was drafted. But all of a sudden, if he couldn't go, then McDavid has lost both of his line mates that have been with him for most of the playoffs, with Hyman being out as well, which would be kind of jarring for him. But I like you said, the vibe here on the ground at least was that we expect him to play, but it was kind of a surprise to have Chris Knobloch put that into question yesterday.
Greg, the sport is getting so young that I was listening to an in-depth discussion over the weekend about whether the Dallas Stars are too old. And trust me, they're not. But I mean, that's how young the league has gotten. And yet Corey Perry at 40 and Brad Marchand at 37 are maybe 2 of the 6 best players in the playoffs right now. How in the world are they doing this?
And not only that, like, they're total package players in the sense that they defend well. They obviously can score. Both had those heroic moments in game 2, but they also have never stopped playing their style of play. I mean, it's pretty amazing to take a step back and think of the two of the most impactful players in the series. One is nicknamed the Worm, and one is nicknamed the Rat. It's the beauty of hockey. It's like those guys are always going to have a job for as long as they can skate because of all the other things that they're able to do for their teams. And again, the intangibles of having guys that have won before, as Perry and Marchand have, can't be understated. Marchand comes to the Panthers to a team where everybody now, pretty much outside of maybe like 5 guys, has a ring in that locker room, but he still brings the gravitas of having, gone on runs with Boston and knowing what it takes and bringing that to a line with Lundell and Luosterainen. And then in Perry's case, I think the Oilers have always looked towards him as one of these guys that plays the right way and is kind of the guiding light in how they need to play in the playoffs. So, as you said, it's a young players league, but there's still a place for the savvy veteran, and I think these two guys have proved it.
One of the things that's impressed me about Florida throughout the year and into the playoffs is their ability in their own end. And puck support's not really the right term, but their defensive puck support. When they absorb a forecheck, the ability to make the short 3-foot pass and get out of the zone, to me, is as good as anybody in the league, and it's why they're in the final again this year. Is that a system thing? Is that a defenseman thing? Or is it a combination of both? Because it's hard to forecheck the Panthers.
It's very hard. And then on the other end, they're extremely good at forechecking.
Right.
It's almost like unfair, to be great at preventing it and then also great at creating it. It is an asset for them. And, I think it's one of the differences between Game 1 and Game 2 in Edmonton. In Game 1 in Edmonton, they had 21 icings, and that's not the way the Panthers play, and it's not the way they want to play. They want to be able to break the puck out of their own zone and transition to their own offense. And Evan Rodriguez, I think, put it best after the Game 1 loss, which is like we just punted a lot. We didn't really carry the puck out or create plays, just punted a lot. And then you see, I think through regulation in Game 2, they only had 3 icings, which is a marked improvement, and probably no surprise that there was a lot more space to create offensively and do the things they like to do in the neutral zone, and that starts in their own end.
You did a story yesterday about Marchand and how there's growing sentiment that he may stick around in Florida, and you brought up what is becoming a controversial issue, and we only have a couple minutes, which is the states that have no state tax. Is this a legitimate topic? Because you've got Canada, which has its own currency thing, and you've got, all but 6 franchises that play in states with a state tax. In a hard cap league, the 6 states that don't have a state tax, their 100 million goes further. Is this legitimate, or is this a media creation?
It's legitimate in the sense that Marchand said it was legitimate. So we gotta go with what the players say. And so while he didn't go as far as some of our friends in the Canadian media go in saying it's the reason why teams like Tampa and Florida and Vegas are successful, he said, look, if there are 2 contracts in front of me for the same amount of money and one team is in a no state income tax state, then I'm going to sign with that team. And he's going to sign with that team, one, because of the financial benefits to him at his age as a veteran player. But also, he said, because he knows inherently that they have probably spent less money on their high-end talent to attract and retain them than a team in Canada might have, or a team in California might have, just because of the money they need to spend to gap the tax benefits that other players would get by taking less to play in Texas or Florida or Tennessee or Nevada. So by virtue of what the players are saying, it's an issue. But the problem is that the dummies in Canada who look at their teams not having won the Stanley Cup since 1993 and make it the issue, the reason why these guys keep signing and playing in places like Tampa Bay and Florida, that's the problem. There's so much more that goes into those teams attracting talent. It's the beaches, it's the climate, it's the success on the ice, and also, let's face it, the organizations that these guys are signing with, right, be it Dallas, be it Vegas, be it Tampa Bay, be it Florida, are some of the most well-funded and well-run and well-maintained organizations in the league. The players want to play for them. Marchand came here and he was astonished by how good Florida was behind the scenes and how they take care of players and the facilities and everything else. So
right.
It's definitely a story. It's not a media creation, but it also is one that I think Canadians have decided to just make it the reason, and it's not the reason why these teams are successful.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Defining a new era in men's health. Get stronger and healthier at Game Day Men's Health. With our in-house laboratory, get in, get treated, and get back to your passion and purpose. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs or Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Mouton Radio Show for a 10% discount on your service. Start living your best with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's funny, Sonny.
Amanda's on.
And Chris is good to go on video. I just texted
Oh, I
him.
got to send him the link.
He's working, so.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home in the 239 and the 904. Final hour of the show, Lake City, Live Oak and surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Chris Perkins, we'll talk a little Dolphins. Their mandatory OTA begins today and goes through Thursday. He'll join us in about 35 minutes' time. Amanda Christovich, kind enough to join us once again. She covers sports business and college sports for Front Office Sports. FrontOfficeSports.com. Follow Amanda on X, A. Christovich, and throw an extra H on the end. A. Christovich H. Amanda, the big question, did you get the family vacation in before the deal, or were you scurrying on an airplane once again? We all want to know.
I got the family vacation in. I woke up, I was in Europe, so I woke up like every morning, like checking my phone to see if the settlement had happened overnight, but it didn't. And it was lovely. And it actually was perfect timing. Settlement dropped Friday night. And now I'm in Orlando at the athletic director convention, just 2 days later. So you know what? I would say couldn't have worked out better.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it. All right. So we have the settlement. We've got the $20.8 million that's going to be divvied up between sports. The NIL money has to go through a clearinghouse. All of the deals that got done prior to the settlement agreement, are they all still valid for this upcoming season? For instance, like the girl from Texas Tech that just re-upped her $1 million deal to be a pitcher there. Is that deal still legal?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's been this whole trend of, especially collective, front-loading their deals. They've been signing deals for, their athletes and paying them out, in full in anticipation of the settlement so that they wouldn't have to go through the clearinghouse. The question is, at what point do you need to start reporting? Because the new College Sports Commission, which is the organization created by the power conferences to oversee the clearinghouse, put on their website June 7th, which was the day after the settlement, like literally 2 hours after the settlement dropped Eastern time. But the actual clearinghouse, like the website, does not open until June 11th. And then there were a lot of people who thought the settlement terms implementation began on July 1st. So it's less about the deals. I think the deals that happened before the settlement, I think everyone is under the impression that they are not going to be subject to the clearinghouse. But now the question is, over the next couple of weeks, what is reportable, what is mandatory, what isn't? It's pretty unclear. Hopefully we'll get some more answers today.
Because, Amanda, we wondered with this deal that there's 20.8 that's official. That's on the books. That's what the schools are going to directly pay the athletes. But then you still have this NIL money. Well, how much money can it legally be? I mean, can it only be a few $100,000? Can it only be a few million? Or can you create an NIL system that exists now at these schools in which it's 10, 15, 20, $30 million? I mean, are we going to have two parallel revenue streams, one that's legit on the books through the school and one that's quote unquote legit, but it's all the boosters?
I think we are going to have two revenue tracks because, there's been a lot of consternation about this clearinghouse, right? Oh, it needs to be a valid business purpose. And I mean, look, we'll see how the software created by Deloitte to operate this clearinghouse actually, looks at deals and says which are fair market value and which aren't. But so long as you can come up with enough, quote unquote, valid business purposes, enough autograph signings, enough, marketing activities, enough events for these players, I don't see why you couldn't just pay them as much as you want, right? Maybe it's just in reverse where you want to pay the players a certain amount of money from your NIL, like outside of revenue sharing, and then you have to figure out, okay, what NIL, quote unquote, related activities do they need to do for this to look kosher? And if you can figure that out, I don't see why you can't pay your players as much as, as much money as you have in the bank and your boosters have in the bank. There's no restriction on how much they can make. It's just about fair market value.
All right. We now have more scholarships possibly in each sport. The good side of this, obviously, is the $20.8 million per school that's going to athletes. But the way they've talked about it, 75% to football, 15% to men's basketball, doesn't leave a whole hell of a lot of money for the other sports. What's the negative of the House settlement in your estimation?
I mean, I think there is this concern still about roster limits. The sort of revision in the settlement for that issue is that the roster, the athletes who lost their roster spots as a result of these new roster limits, which were put in place, as you said, as a result of the in place of the scholarship limits, right? Like now there are no scholarship limits, but there are roster limits. Those athletes will be given the opportunity to get their spots back through a grandfathering system, but the schools aren't required to give them their spots back. So I think there's a lot of concern about, will all these, thousands of players still lose roster spots, walk-on, partial scholarship athletes, and just lose the opportunity to play Division I sports altogether. I think that's, the biggest concern. And then obviously, there's concern about the antitrust implications of the revenue sharing cap and the clearinghouse and stuff. So, honestly, I'm going to see how many lawyers I can find at this convention. I can't imagine I'm going to find one who hasn't spoken with potential clients about suing for that, right? So I think I think that remains to be seen.
Well, you got antitrust and you've got Title IX. I mean, I think they're going to get this deal's going to get contested on both those fronts. Amanda, ultimately at the end of the day, did the federal judge blink? I mean, she kept saying that, I do not want any of the current athletes to fall through the cracks. Okay. If they have a scholarship, okay, or they have a roster spot because they're a walk-on, I want to ensure that they don't lose it because of this deal. It sounds like at the end she blinked and she's leaving it to the good graces of each individual school, and we can all insert our favorite joke here.
Yeah, I mean, look, what she wrote in her approval brief, which was 76 pages, by the way, that was a really fun Friday night activity for me and all of my colleagues at other news outlets. But what she wrote about the roster limits issue is she sort of adopted the NCAA's position, which was that roster limits are never around, roster spots are never guaranteed. It's always up to the discretion of the coaches and the athletic department whether or not to put an athlete on their roster. So giving these schools the opportunity to grandfather in their players was sort of ameliorating any issue that the settlement would have created. But in the pre-settlement world, the roster spots are not guaranteed anyway. So that's kind of how she justified it. And then she also wrote explicitly in the settlement that athletes retain their right to sue for damages related to the loss of roster spots. And by the way, she said the same thing for, loss of potential earnings due to the revenue sharing cap and Title IX. So she made it very clear in her brief that these issues, could still be litigated and challenged in court, at least for damages, right? Which doesn't necessarily mean that, it's more about retroactive sort of getting money back that you lost, but it could still be very dangerous for, the future legality of this settlement if a bunch of players do take her up on that.
Do you anticipate sports being dropped because of the House settlement agreement?
I do, and I think that sports have already started. Schools have already started. I mean, I wrote about, Grand Canyon men's volleyball, for example, very successful program that was dropped, and nobody really got a reason other than, quote unquote, the change in winds in college sports. I think it's being used as a justification to cut sports because, especially all these Division I programs are saying, okay, well, now we got to come up with $20.5 million to pay players, so we got to make adjustments elsewhere. So we're going to cut this sport or that sport and save a few $100,000 here or there. But I will tell you that just because sports can and will be cut doesn't mean they should be, and doesn't mean that they need to be. Rather, I think that athletic departments are going to use the settlement as an excuse to sort of trim around the edges. Because a lot of these sports, like men's volleyball at Grand Canyon, cost like $300,000, and they made a ton of money in ticket sales. So I'm not really sure how much money they actually saved there. You know what I mean? When you're looking at a bill like $20.5 million. So it's going to happen, but I would just be cautious for anyone seeing these headlines, to sort of blame the settlement, other than just, administrators are going to use it as an excuse.
Is the walk-on athlete officially the past? Is there such a thing as a walk-on college athlete now?
I think it's still a possibility, but it's going to be more of a possibility at schools that can't afford to fund scholarships for their entire athletic department, if that makes sense. Which is, still, I think there are a lot of schools that aren't going to be able to fund 105 full football scholarships, for example. But I think that the days of the walk-on are going to be fewer and farther between, and it's going to be a lot harder to be a walk-on because there are going to be so few spots for you.
Amanda, glad you had a great vacation and continued safe travels. Enjoy the athletic directors convention in Orlando. And listen, hopefully we don't have to bother you for a few weeks, but I can't guarantee that, okay?
That's all right. Bother me anytime. I'm going to go grab some coffee.
You do that.
Thanks, Amanda.
Amanda Christovich covers sports business and the college sports scene for Front Office Sports, frontofficesports.com. Follow her on X, A. Christovich, and throw an extra H on the end. A. Christovich H.
I hope that gives you a little more clarity as to what's going on. I'm not sure, however, that it did. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or nolanagency.com.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymade.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You know what's really fun when your back hurts? Sneezing.
Ooh, yes.
And it's not just the sneezing, it's the preemptive sneezing when you get when you feel like you're going to sneeze and those big breaths, they're fun.
Did you get my text?
I did.
Do you agree?
I do.
I have to admit, I think we're knocking off a few of those.
We're getting there.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. If you're just joining us, well, where the heck have you been? I mean, we had Greg Wyshynski on last hour. We just had Amanda Christovich on. Fortunately, we got Chris Perkins coming on in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Craig and Amanda, and eventually Chris, all joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
It's time now for the coolest thing I've seen today. Actually, the time for it was about an hour ago. But I started talking about the Belmont. David started talking about something else. And then all of a sudden the segment was over. And I didn't do what I was supposed to. Those things sometimes happen on a Monday.
Well, if you put it that way.
But the coolest thing I've seen today is brought to you by the good folks at Air Advantage. Go to myairadvantage.com, or call today for service or sales at 433-4635. That's 239-433-4635. 18 months, no interest, no payments available. David, usually I dig and try to find something obscure that you may not have seen and try to get you to think about something that was pretty cool that, well, you may have passed over the weekend. I can't do it today. The coolest thing I've seen was the French Open yesterday. That was why I watch sports. It is why David and I, for nearly 2 decades, have encouraged you, the football fan, to sometimes watch something else. Because every once in a while, even something that we don't like, and I have been open over the years that the French Open doesn't do it for me tennis-wise. I'm a Wimbledon guy. I'm a U.S. Open guy. That's where I like to watch my tennis. That's where I think the best tennis is played. It wasn't on Sunday. The French Open in Paris gave us some of the most thrilling tennis, thrilling sports that I've ever seen. Screw tennis. It's going to be on the short list of great matches ever. And I'm talking top 3 ever.
It's as good as anything I've seen. Watched a lot of tennis. Don't want to bore you with the matches that, in my mental Rolodex because, well, who cares? So the guy who lost, Jannik Sinner, number 1 player in the world, he had won the last 2 Grand Slams. He won 193 points during the 5-hour and 29-minute match. The guy who won, Carlos Alcaraz, who just won his 5th major and he's 22 years old, he won 192 points. So that's right. The point totals were 193 to 192. Alcaraz had 17 more winners than Sinner, but Sinner had 18 fewer errors. They each had the same number of breaks of serve. 3 of the 5 sets went tiebreakers. Alcaraz saved 3 championship points down 3-5, serving in the 4th set. No man had ever saved more championship points during a final and won the Grand Slam match.
They showed a graphic when the match was getting to be 5 hours that Alcaraz had never come back after losing the first 2 sets of a match in his career, and that Skinner had never won a match that had gone over 5 hours. One of those had to give because the match was 5.5 hours long.
In fact, I don't think Sinner had ever won a match over 4 hours. Right. So something had to give. The other thing, which was amazing, neither player had ever lost a Grand Slam final before. I'll say this, McEnroe talks a lot. He does. He said 2 things yesterday. The one that I've quoted twice when he said, these 2 men in this match is so good, it makes me proud to say I was a tennis player. but he also quoted Nadal midway through the fifth set, in which he said, Nadal said something 20 years ago that I always remembered. He said, sometimes you just have to go through the pain. And he was talking about these long 5+ hour matches, and that there comes a point in which you're just convinced you can't go anymore. And Nadal says, and that's the moment in which you just have to suffer the pain. And the other thing, Mark, that McEnroe said, listen, I've been up 2-0 and lost the French before. He said, it's 40 years later, I still haven't gotten over it. And he goes, I just hope Sinner wins this tournament one day. He goes, if he does, he'll forget about this match. But he won't forget about this match until he wins the French.
I found myself feeling badly for Sinner as the match was in the fourth set and Alcaraz was forcing a fifth, because as I was explaining to my wife, I said, I think the crowd overall is going to root for Alcaraz a little more. But at this point in the fourth set, what the crowd is rooting for is a fifth set.
Right.
Tennis fans want more tennis. And as it was getting near the end of the fifth set, they kind of switched to Sinner, even at 5-5, because they wanted what? A tiebreak.
Right.
They just wanted more tennis. And when we complain about the price of events and they are all too high, they are. It's not old guy on the porch. It's tough. Even got a text from someone today who just said, I watched Gail Sayers in college, saw Satchel Paige. I've been to a Final Four, World Series, Kentucky Derby, and more. Unfortunately, I did not see any of the great weekend you're discussing. It's unaffordable now on a fixed income. I get it. It's all expensive. But yesterday, if you were lucky enough to be in attendance in Paris, it was worth every penny. They gave you everything they had. And when Alcaraz fell to the ground, like many tennis players do after a match, I didn't think that there was any hokiness about it. I thought it just all finally came out.
I didn't know if he was going to fall to the red clay, only because that meant the energy to have to get up.
But that far and away is the coolest thing that I'd seen over the weekend. It's brought to you by Air Advantage. Online, myairadvantage.com. Make sure when you talk to the good folks at Air Advantage that you tell them that Miller and Moulton sent you.
I thought Brian Anderson doing play-by-play, by the way, was great.
Terrific.
Great. An amazing amount of excitement while also being very factual. Okay, knowing it instantaneously that was this, that was that. And was quick and to the point and gave McEnroe a lot of room. Thought he was great. And I think, he's Turner's guy. And I don't think he's leaving Turner. Like Harlan and Ian Eagle, who do the NBA on Turner, well, Turner's losing the NBA. They're going to wherever. NBC, Amazon, wherever they're going, they're gone. Now they're both still doing the NFL on CBS, but they still have NBA jobs. I think Brian Anderson's staying with Turner. Like he'll do the NCAA tournament where him and Harlan, well, that's the other thing. Does Harlan lose a spot in the NCAA tournament because he was actually Turner's number one announcer? But I think Anderson's, so he's losing the NBA and losing some other really nice gigs, but he's going to become like the voice of Turner Sports, which, as we found out over the weekend, means he may get a national semifinal college playoff game. Could you imagine the Rose Bowl on Turner? I'd pay any amount of money for that to happen, by the way.
Does that mean they'd put it on True TV as well, David?
I would think so, Mark. I would think it's worthy of the simulcast. Yes.
I agree. Just for the promos alone, we need to make that happen, David. Takes you back to those early NFL on Fox days with Summerall reading the Sunday night lineup.
Did you ever see the thing that's on YouTube about him just reading all the shows
that never made it?
But then he also has one in which apparently the inside joke between him and Madden was how long the pause can be between murder and she wrote. And you sometimes heard Madden laughing off to the side. Chris Perkins, Dolphins, next.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
morning, Chris.
Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm good.
Did you get a vacation in yet, or is it after this mini camp you can take a little time?
Yeah, after minicamp. Actually, I'm headed to Texas to see family on Friday. Minicamp is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'm headed out on Friday.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for you.
Yep. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, just grinding through the summer. You know how it is.
Yep. And this is the dead time. So yeah.
It is, and it is. I mean, you know what? Sports delivers. I mean, not that we spent a lot of time on it, but that French Open yesterday,
Right.
That's just unreal.
Yeah,
we got the hockey.
women's and men's.
We got the hockey, we got the
Yeah.
hoop, we got that house settlement thing with this, college sport.
Right.
That's all a mess.
Yeah.
This sports world always seems to deliver for us, Chris.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? I love college sport. I love the politics of college sports a lot more than the pros. I think college just introduces so much more stuff as far as the gender equity and getting Congress involved and should you pay the athletes. But to me, the drama is more. It's just more exciting in college sports.
No doubt, and you're right with the gender. Like, I don't know what they're saying 20.8 million, 75% to football, 15% to hoop. What women's team's going to raise their hand and go, "Excuse me, Title IX"?
I know. Well, you know what? I mean, there are programs that could say something like, a UConn women's basketball or North Carolina women's soccer, but do you really have an argument when you compare yourself against the men's teams in those conferences and what the football and basketball brings in?
No, but I think we don't know just from a Title IX standpoint whether or not this is separate from it, like Social Security in our budget, and they can do this.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Joining us once again on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. You can see him if you take us in on YouTube or twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. He's Chris Perkins. He covers the Dolphins for the Sun Sentinel, where he's a fine columnist. Follow him on X at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K. Chris, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How you been?
I've been good, man. Drama, baby. Drama. We were just talking off the air about college sports drama. The Dolphins open mini camp. We don't expect to see Jalen Ramsey. More drama. You got to love drama in sports, right?
Mark, do you sense that Chris Perkins was a big TNT fan back in the day when their slogan was "We love drama"?
And the Dolphins would, hey, all right, with Jalen Ramsey, we know he's not going to be there, but how close, if at all, are we to Jalen Ramsey getting dealt somewhere?
Here's what I think is going on. I think that this is mostly about how much of Jalen's salary is going to be paid by the Dolphins and how much will be paid by the other team. I don't think the compensation, the draft compensation, is a big sticking point. I think Jalen gets maybe a 4th-round pick, maybe a 5th-round pick, but he's due $20 million in salary. How much are the Dolphins going to pay? And how much is the other team going to pay? Because if I'm the other team, unless Jalen Ramsey is somebody who's going to put me over the top, like if I'm close like Detroit or Baltimore, not saying those teams are looking at Jalen, but if I'm close like them, then okay, maybe I take Jalen and I pay, I don't know, $15 million of his salary or whatever. If you're Carolina, who has, one of Jalen's favorite secondary coaches, you're not going to pay $20 million for Jalen Ramsey because you're not close. To me, that's probably the major sticking point in this deal right now.
Is this relationship broken? Like, let's just say the Dolphins can't strike a deal that they can live with for whatever reason, compensation, what have you. Is this relationship broken where Jalen Ramsey can't show up at training camp, or can you actually see a scenario where the Dolphins are unable to strike a deal and they say to Jalen, hey, we'll spend every day in camp in the first 6-8 weeks of the season before the trading deadline trying to trade you, but we just don't have a deal right now. You got to show up.
David, I think this is irreversible, and I'll tell you why. We've heard General Manager Chris Grier and defensive tackle Zach Sealer, the team MVP, speak of Ramsey in the past tense, like he's gone already. To me, if there was a chance, they would speak more, well, let's see what's going to happen. You never know. We don't hear that. We hear, I wish Jalen Ramsey good luck. Jalen Ramsey was a very productive player for us. We hear that type of speaking. And so to me, that indicates that this thing is just irrevocably broken and Jalen Ramsey will not be a member of the Dolphins in 2025.
All right. The other talk is Jonnu Smith, of him getting moved. Obviously, he had a super year last year. Doesn't make a lot of sense to us. Does it make sense to you, Chris?
Not trading Jalen Ramsey. Here's what I think is going on there. That, Drew Rosenhaus represents Zach Sealer and Jonnu Smith. Both of those guys held out of OTAs. Both of those guys, you could say, we know that Jonnu is a contract thing. I think that's the deal also for Zach Sealer, who has 2 years left on his deal. We know that Zach Sealer was the team MVP last year. His contract paid him an average of $10 million a year. That puts him around 30th among defensive tackles. Also, coming up after this season, the Dolphins have to decide on Jalen Phillips. He's playing on his 5th-year option, the 2021 first-round pick. And Devon Achane will have 2 years left on his deal. So if you look at this, if I'm Drew Rosenhaus, I'm saying I need to get my guys first in line. I need to get Jonnu and Zach ahead of Devon Achane and Jalen Phillips. So this is what I'm going to do. That's what I think is going on here, is that these guys are lining up for their contract matters. And Jonnu and Zach are trying to put themselves at the head of the line. But you've got to decide something on Jalen Phillips because he's on a 5th-year option. If he turns in a 10-sack season, you're probably going to re-sign him. And Devon Achane, he's going to be the face of the offense because we know Tyreek Hill is due $50 million next year. Plus, he's displayed knucklehead behavior. I doubt Tyreek will be here next year, so you got to have Achane. So if I'm Jonnu and Zach Sealer, I'm raising my hand to try to get at the front of this payday line.
Can you and I role play here for about 30 seconds? I'm your boss. I hired you because you write a certain way and I really like it. And for 3 years, you've written that way and I totally supported you. And now you're turning around and you're writing totally differently. You've totally changed your tune on things. And I'm like, what the hell happened to Chris Perkins? Well, let's talk about Chris Grier. Think about all his big deals. Acquiring Tyreek gave him not 1, but 2 contracts. Okay. And, we all know this is his last year with the Dolphins. His second biggest deal was Jalen Ramsey. 2 years later, he's shipping him out of town. He gave people contract extensions who didn't even ask for contract extensions. And all of them, seemingly, outside of Tua, were being shipped out of town now or in the next 8 months. I mean, how, Chris, how can Stephen Ross be, and Mike McDaniel's now going to be a stern disciplinarian? Okay. I mean, seriously, Chris, what are we missing here? It's like these two are having an out-of-body experience. How does Stephen Ross let them get away with it?
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And here's what I'm going to write next week or sometime this week that, don't be fooled by what's going on here. The Dolphins are on plan B. Plan A failed. Plan A was let's win with these vets and screw those draft picks. Now they're on plan B. It's winning with young players and draftees. Mike McDaniel told us this at the owners' meetings. He kind of doubled down on it again last week after OTAs. The plan now is to win with young players and draftees. Okay, so plan A failed, clearly. Plan A that Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel were behind. So now you go to plan B. Alert, Chris Grier does not draft well. So you're going to rely on draftees? I mean, come on. These guys, I don't know what Steve Ross is looking at here. Now, look, I will say in the favor of Grier and McDaniel, they gathered the best collection of talent the Dolphins have had in 2 decades, but they didn't do anything with it. And that's what would irritate me if I'm Steve Ross. You wasted my time and my money. I can't understand giving these guys another couple of years. To me, this would be it for them, but we don't know what Steve Ross is thinking.
And in the meantime, you've let the Wilkins of the world go while playing this shell game, really, because there is no, to what David's point was, there is really they think they have a rhyme or reason, but they keep changing on the fly what their philosophy is. And Chris, we all know when you look at this roster, I don't care what happens with the Ramsey trade and whatever they do with Jonnu Smith, there are still a lot of holes on this roster.
There are holes and there are question marks. If you look at the offense, there aren't necessarily holes, but there are question marks. Austin Jackson at right tackle, can he stay healthy? Left tackle, Patrick Paul, can he do the job? At right guard, James Daniels, can he come back from this Achilles? If you go over to the other side, who are your boundary cornerbacks? Who are your two safeties? Iffy Melifonwu and Ashton Davis are unproven as starters over the long term. Your backup defensive tackles, unproven, unknown guys. Yes, there are questions and holes all over this roster. Even last year, Mark, when you talk about them changing philosophies, you remember they went to that dink and dump offense that they had to go to in the second half of the season. That's a change of philosophy. They were a big play passing team. So I think there are indications that they are kind of chasing their tail here, that, the win with veterans thing didn't work. And now you're trying to play with win with draft picks after you've traded first round picks to get Tyreek and Bradley Chubb. So that kind of puts you behind a little bit. You're trying to win with draft picks. Then why did you trade out of the third and fourth rounds this year? A lot of these things are just inconsistent. And it kind of makes you feel like plan A failed and plan B is kind of make it up as you go.
Chris Perkins, outstanding Dolphins columnist, Sun Sentinel, sunsentinel.com. Follow him on X at Chris Perk, CHRISPERK. I know you're aware of this stat. I just don't know how many of our listeners are. Plays that gained 25 or more yards last year, the Dolphins were dead last in the league. 19 plays all year. Basically one 25-plus yard play a game. The Browns had 5 more. The Raiders had 7 more. Never mind, we go to Baltimore had 39 more of those plays. The Giants had 10 more of those plays. I mean, think about who their quarterbacks were last year. I mean, Mike McDaniel's an offensive guy. Tyreek, Tua. Come on. What's going on?
I'll tell you, you guys know what I think, that this is a one-dimensional Tyreek-based offense. And I've given you these numbers. In the last 2 years, the Dolphins are 11-0 and average 35 points a game when Tyreek goes over 100 yards. And when he's under 100 yards, they're 7-16, and they average 18 points per game. But here's the thing with the running game. The running game does not win them games, and I can't really figure this out. Over the last 2 years, when they rush for over 100 yards, they are 8-11. That's 27th in the league. When they rush for under 100 yards, they're 11-5. And to me, it just means don't take the ball out of Tyreek's hands. Don't give it to the running backs. Don't give it to Waddle. Don't give it to Jonnu. If you want to win 11-0 over the last 2 years, 35 points per game, because Tyreek opens up the offense for everybody else, give the ball to Tyreek. But the flip side of that is everybody in the league knows that. And the good teams just say, we're just shutting down Tyreek. So you've got to diversify this offense, Mike McDaniel. To me, that's one of the big things. The team shut down Tyreek, there go the 25-yard and over plays.
Mark, the Colts had 40. The Colts and their quarterback play last year had 40 plays of 25 or more yards. The Dolphins had 19.
It doesn't make any sense when you have Hill and Waddle, Achane, who should be able to make big plays. It does boil down to, though, I keep harping on it. Chris, you've talked about it on this show almost weekly, and you just mentioned it again. They've got an offensive line that we don't know about going into the season. You're counting on guys who were injured last year to come back from injury. You're counting on tackles who didn't start a year ago with losing Armstead. I mean, they have to dink and dunk because I don't think they can protect Tua well enough.
Yeah, and let's talk about that offensive line. I'm glad you brought that up, Mark, because, again, this was one of the big things of the offseason, right? Chris Greer saying we're going to invest in the offensive line. And, okay, you did, because James Daniels, one of your starting guards, was your highest paid free agent. Your other starting guard, Jonas Avayanaya, you traded up in the second round to get him. So you strengthened there, but your starters still have questions and your backups are worse than they were last year. Because at least last year you had Kendall Lamb that you could stick in there and know that he could start and be okay. You have no Kendall Lamb this year. He's gone. And there's nobody at the Kendall Lamb level. There's nobody at the Isaiah Wynn level. Liam Eichenberg right now is probably your most reliable backup. You signed Larry Borum, but who knows what he's going to be. So investing in the offensive line, I think you got two new starters, but your backups are worse than they were last year. And we know every season under McDaniel, they've had to rely on those backup offensive linemen to a certain extent because Teron Armstead has been hurt. Austin Jackson's been hurt. Connor Williams has been hurt. So good luck with that offensive line this year.
Is there any indication this is affecting the Dolphins' business? Because the Dolphins, for a while now, they've sold out their games. They've sold out their suites. I mean, I tried the last 2 years to get good Dolphins tickets. No chance. Couldn't even get in a lottery. They had such a waiting list. I'm just curious. Is this any indication, we got about a minute, that this is hurting the Dolphins at the gate?
No, not yet. And the Dolphins don't release their season ticket sales numbers like most NFL teams, but here's an indicator that the Dolphins are okay public perception wise. The NFL has 5 national games featuring the Dolphins this year, plus the game in Spain. So they are still they're still front and center. They're entertaining. They've got a lot of drama to them. People like to watch them. So I think Steve Ross is saying, look, I'm still not losing money on those contract extensions because my Dolphins paraphernalia is selling, the merchandise. My team is on TV, so they stay in the national consciousness, and my stadium is sold out. So I might not be winning, but I'm doing the next best thing. I'm making money.
Yeah, the Jets are all those things too. How's that working out?
Exactly. Well, we hope that it's all about winning for the Dolphins. Making money is a nice consolation prize, but we hope it's all about winning, and that will spur some changes in whatever direction.
Chris, hopefully, the Dolphins get rid of these guys or sign them to long-term extensions so this story doesn't last beyond OTAs for you. Chris, between now and training camp, be safe, be well, have a nice vacation, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Chris Perkins, outstanding columnist for the Sun Sentinel, sun-sentinel.com.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
Miller and Moulton would like to thank the sponsors that quite frankly saved the show in 2024. Whether it was Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Molly Maid, Cigar Bar, Sleep Treatment Direct, the Diamond District, and even the Cape Coral Police Department, thank you. We're hopeful of a great 2025, still needing sponsors, so reach out to Miller and Moulton via X at that Mark Miller or the David Moulton, or text us at 21,000. But Miller and Moulton says thank you to our sponsors and to you, our loyal listeners.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Got some breaking NFL news.
Yeah, I saw that. It was right before Chris was on.
Oh, boy.
So David, yesterday, I was kind of saying this in the chat room before. My grill, my smoker wasn't working. And so I called, they have 24 or they have 7-day-a-week customer service. So I'm on the phone with customer service. They've got me unhooking wires. Okay. That didn't work. And I didn't unhook the wires that they told me to. So anyhow, put the wires back in. And then he has me looking at all this stuff, and I may have to replace the whole auger motor. I'm like, But he said it's probably jammed, so do you have a rubber mallet or a hammer? I'm like, I got a hammer, because I just need you to pound on the pipe a little bit. Okay, hammer on pipe, I can do.
Right.
Wires and auger motor replacement are not some. You want me to bang on something with a hammer? You have got the right guy. I can do that. Next 2 weeks, my daughter has different camps. I have my house back during the week. There'll be no one around. It's going to be glorious. I'm going to go home. I'm going to work out, and then I'm going to take a big fat nap.
It's one of the top 10 things in life. It really is.
I got to tell you, I mean, I go and I perspire just a touch on the treadmill. I get in that pool for about 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then I just go down.
Yep.
Now what I do is I used to really like the John Oliver show. Now I like it because it puts me asleep in 5 minutes.
There you go.
I'll wake up with whatever the Mac, with the noise from the Max thing, the Max app when I'm done with it.
Right. So it's what Vin used to do to John?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for starting your week off with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. If you've missed Greg Wyshynski, Amanda Christovich, Chris Perkins, go to millerandmoulton.com and download what you've missed. They all joined us on the American Paint Supplies hotline. We continue to broadcast from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, just keeping it real. And the Packers got real today with Jair Alexander, Mark.
They got very real. They cut him.
Yeah. They said, well, we tried to get rid of you. Nobody wanted to pick up your $17.5 million a year. None of it guaranteed, by the way. So the Packers cut him, and they free up $17 million on the cap. Now, don't know who they're going to spend it on, but Packers just got more cap money to do long-term extensions, maybe with people on the roster, or I don't know. Maybe at some point in time you go get what do you think the Packers are missing to take that next step? A pass rusher? Do you think they're missing a Jalen Ramsey? Did they cut?
That's what I was wondering. Did they cut Alexander? And what did Chris Perkins just talk about? The thing that, if anything is holding this deal up, it's not compensation. He said it's a fourth or a fifth. It's how much of Ramsey's salary are the Dolphins going to eat? And with the Packers cutting Alexander and saving that money, let's say the Dolphins take half of that salary and eat it. Would that be the number to get Ramsey to Green Bay? So when I saw the cut, I immediately thought, are they going for Ramsey and a cheaper version? Now, I know Ramsey's making, what, 20 on the books this year?
I think his cap hit this year, it's interesting. Right now, he will make in cash from the Dolphins $25 million this year, but his cap hit will be less than 17. But it's a pretty similar cap hit to what Jair Alexander's cap hit was. For what it's worth, Jair's 28 years old.
He's missed 10 games the last two seasons, though, right?
Each of the last two seasons. Right.
Okay.
He's only played 7 games each of the last 2 seasons. Yes. And the Packers were quoted as saying at the end of last year, I don't know if we can keep playing is Jair Alexander going to be available to play game. But Jalen Ramsey, for the record, turns 31 in late October. Week before Halloween, Jalen Ramsey turns 31. Jair Alexander just turned 28. Mark? So you're gaining 2.5 years in age. Jalen stays healthy. Therefore, he's a better player than Jair. You have to judge Jair on the last 2 years. But we all know the teams that are contenders who could use a corner. I mean, if you're the Lions,
yes, I don't know where off the top of my head, I don't know where they are cap wise, but I believe they've got a decent amount of room that this wouldn't be a problem for this year. Beyond this year, it might be a problem, but I thought they had like 35 left.
Yeah. As of last week, they had 40.
Okay.
They had like the 4th most amount of cap room left. So remember, Jair's a free agent. So, right now he's making bupkis for this year. And there's no, money that's coming from the Packers that they owe him either. They didn't owe him any guaranteed money. So Jair Alexander, 28-year-old corner, who when healthy was a legit number 1 corner.
When healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big prop. What is he going to get on the open market in your estimate? Like, what would you pay him right now that you think would be fair for both sides? Like, I think for what it's worth, we found out the Aaron Rodgers deal's like $13 million, a base of 10. He can make like 19. That seems very fair to me, to both sides.
I thought Aaron Rodgers did the Steelers.
I agree.
Well,
I agree.
By agreeing to play for what he agreed to play for. I mean, Daniel Jones is going to make more money for the Colts than in all likelihood Aaron Rodgers is going to make for the Steelers this year. I mean, I don't know how a Steelers fan can get upset at Aaron Rodgers' contract.
No, I'm not.
Right.
Not even suggesting it. I'm just merely saying I thought Aaron Rodgers gave the Steelers a very fair deal. Alexander's now on the open market. As you mentioned, when healthy, he's a legit number one corner, but he's not healthy very often. He plays less than half the games the last 2 years. That's not good. So what's a fair offer to him?
I think a fair offer that can get him to accept it. Because you got to remember, folks, he's been making 17, 18 million a year. All right. So your idea of a fair offer, he and his agent are going to be like, you're kidding, right? But I think someone's going to have to pay him $7.5 to $10 million. And then whatever incentives based on playing time or making Pro Bowls or what have you.
Interceptions or whatever it is you want to put in there.
But I think it's going to have to be, doesn't have to be elite corner money. Because you look at Jair and go, dude, you haven't been an elite corner since at least 2022. But I'm willing to pay you starting corner money. I am. And then you could earn 50% more by staying healthy, being you. You'll earn $12, $13 million.
Would you, if you were an elite, like if you were the Lions, if you're an elite team that needs help in the back end, would you go after Alexander, or particularly like with Detroit, who had all of those injuries last year on defense? I'd be scared to death to take a guy who can't play in half the games the last 2 years. I would.
Obviously, the physical's pretty key here. Because he was healthy the first 5 years of his career. And is this just, bad luck? Guys get hurt playing football? Or are you never going to be the same? Tell you what, this is the type of move the Ravens would make. It is. This is the type of move the Ravens would make.
Which is fascinating because there are a lot of people out there, and I think you're one of them, David, that think that's the best roster in the National Football League. And adding a Pro Bowl caliber, when healthy, corner to that roster would be, you're right, it's very Ravens-esque.
So, Jair Alexander, very interesting name. 28 years old, has missed 10 of the 17 games each of the last 2 years. He's coming off a PCL injury. Was weird, too. He was practicing, not every day, but he was practicing the final month of the season and never once activated to play. What was going on there? I'd want to know.
And I think there's plenty of ways that we'll actually find out. What's his base salary will be one of them. What teams that, have some ties coaching-wise and GM-wise to Green Bay stay away, or would they be interested? I think there's a lot of ways we find out by reading between the lines whenever he does sign. But he was released today. Jalen Ramsey, not expected to show up to Dolphins mandatory OTAs this week. Will he get traded in the next couple of days? Those are a couple of the NFL stories that are out there.
I don't think it's a big deal that he wasn't traded by OTAs. I mean, obviously, the team that's acquiring him, would it have been nice to have him in early June to participate in the 3 days of workouts? Yeah, sure. But I need him by camp. I mean, that's when I need him. I need him by camp. In a way, this is almost good, all right, if I acquire Jalen Ramsey. He's got 6 weeks to move, get settled, find a place, etc. Also gives us time to talk to his agent. What's he thinking about life and the pursuit of happiness beyond 2025?
So a little Dolphins, a little Packers talk as we get ready tonight for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final. The series knotted at 1 apiece. Last night, the NBA with OKC winning at home evened that series up at 1 game apiece. I did, for the record, picked OKC in 5. David picked them in 6. We both have the hockey going a full 7 games. I picked the Canadian team, who I am not rooting for, and with every day that goes on, I'm rooting more and more against the Edmonton Oilers because the entire hockey world is rooting against the Florida Panthers, and it's become irritating, particularly on the American network, where they're decidedly rooting for the Canadian team. And in basketball, the announcers are just miffed that they've got to do this series, period.
Well, there's all sorts of stuff going on there with ESPN's announcing team. You know, Doris Burke's contract is up, whether or not she's even going to be retained. Rick Carlisle began a press conference. Okay,
Right.
not talking about his team winning, but just praising Doris Burke. I mean, there's some very interesting things going on. If you're a broadcasting nerd like us and into this stuff. But I think it's fair to say that ESPN/ABC made a mistake in breaking up the Van Gundy, Mark Jackson with Mike Breen team. Isn't that fair to say?
I think at this point we can safely say that that was a bad move.
They got rid of Van Gundy because they were convinced he was going to go back into coaching. So they hired Doc Rivers, who left them after 2 months to go back into coaching. And then they replaced him with J.J. Redick, who left at the end of that first season to go into coaching. Right. Okay.
Miller and Moulton. 21,000 is the text line. If you care to chime in on the show, you can always join us. YouTube.com/Miller and Moulton, Twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton if you want to see us while you listen to us. Thanks for listening.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Well, Sonny, it's year 2. The Pirates have control of them for 6 years. That's 4.5 more years. But eventually, yes, he will likely be traded. But I don't think it'll be for another 3 years because it'll be an absolute PR disaster for the Pirates. And they make money with him because people are coming out to watch him pitch, and he's affordable right now.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Good, the bad, and the ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two, all coming up in less than 20 minutes' time.
You know, we take stock at the baseball standings at Memorial Day.
Yep.
And look who the division leaders are and see who we think will still be winning the division. The only one that's changed since Memorial Day are the Astros are now ahead of the Mariners and the American League West. Every other division's the same. The Tigers, the Yankees, the Mets, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. Although the Dodgers lead is what? Just a game over the Padres, and they play 3 starting today.
Right. And they're tied with the Padres in the loss column. And not only that, with the Giants having won 5 in a row, the Giants are only a game back also. But what is interesting is 2 weeks ago, the Mets were in first. The Phillies overtook them and then have lost 9 of 10. So now the Mets are up by 4 in the loss column.
But the Rays, with their little resurgence, are now a wild card team. In fact, they're the number 1 wild card team, albeit tied with the Twins and the Blue Jays for that mark. All 3 teams are 35-30. And I didn't think the Rays had much of a shot. I still don't like their chances because of the way the schedule will fall. And they're going to play all these road games all summer long. But they're finding a way to win games. They're finding a way to win at home, which is great because they've been playing particularly well on the road. Can the Rays hold on and continue to play at this rate the rest of the regular season?
They are getting really good pitching again. And they think they have 4/5 of their rotation worked out. And remember, there could be a Shane McClanahan sighting soon. So I actually think, Mark, because here's the other thing that's happening. Let's be honest. Boston's not as good as we thought they were going to be this year. Baltimore certainly isn't close to as good as we thought they were going to be this year. But also, while they're all above 500, the Twins, the Guardians, and the Royals, they're all between 2 and 5 games over 500. I mean, so how good are they? Like, of those 3, the one I think's the breakout team is the Royals. Between the Twins, the Guardians, and the Royals, I actually think the Royals are the best team in the group.
You might be right, David. They're all similar. They obviously all have flaws. But the Guardians don't score a lot of runs. That's not going to change.
Nope.
The Royals, with the kid they just brought up from Florida, or from the minors that played at Florida there.
Caglianone.
There you go. They think they now have a couple of bats. Between he and Witt, they've got guys who can produce runs. And their pitching's pretty good. So I would tend to agree with you. I think the wild card in the whole thing, David, is the Twins. Because the Twins have a pretty decent roster. Their whole problem is they never stay healthy.
Right.
And thus far, they've stayed relatively healthy.
Mark, you and I are big into the whole plus-minus run differential stat. Do you know who has the 3rd best run differential in the American League?
I think it's the Twins.
It's the Tampa Bay Rays. The Twins have the 4th.
Okay.
But to further, what it is you're talking about. I mean, you've got the Yankees and the Tigers. Tigers with a much better record than the Yankees. I think they'd be like 2 or so games ahead of the Yankees if they were in the same division like they once were. But they've got far and away the best run differential. But the 3rd best run differential is the Tampa Bay Rays. And what's happened here in the last 3 weeks, and Mark, I don't know if this is sustainable. Tampa Bay's been scoring some runs. Now, the Marlins pitching 2 of the 3 games reined it in, and then you had like the 11-10 game or whatever it was on Saturday. But remember when we had Steve Carney on 2-3 weeks ago, and we said, hey, Rays starting to win at home, back around 500. He goes, yeah, I can't believe they're going to score enough runs. Well, they are right now. You got I always get them confused. I think it's Josh Lowe and Brandon Lau. I think I remember it because I think of Josh Lowe as J-Lo. That's why he's Lowe.
That's
and the
a
other
great
one's
way
Lau.
to remember it.
If I'm right.
If you're right, that's awesome. And I'm not messing around here because it drives me nuts. Just when I think I have it, then I screw it up.
Totally. And I think that's how I taught myself a few weeks ago. Hey, think of Josh Lowe as J-Lo. And then obviously the other guy is Lau, Brandon Lau. So I think that's how I remember that. This Caminero guy could be rookie of the year, for goodness sakes, with the season he's having. I just don't know if they have enough. And you make an excellent point. I mean, their second half of the season, we're not going to see them. It's going to take a subpoena between Father's Day and Labor Day to see the Rays in Tampa. I mean, they gone, as Hawk Harrelson used to say. They gone.
And what they honored Longoria over the weekend.
Yep, he retired a Ray.
That's great. There are a lot of people saying, yeah, next year when the Trop's fixed, can you bring him back and do it there? Because there was something very odd about Evan Longoria retiring as a Ray at a rented field that the Yankees use for spring training.
You mean that he never played at?
Right. There was just something about that I was seeing on social media, that there were a few Rays people out there going, this just doesn't look right.
Well, the other thing is he's probably best known as a Ray for the homer in game 162, which put him in the playoffs. And that homer is a Tropicana Field homer because it was just by inches over that low fence immediately down the left field line. That's only like 3 feet high. It's the only ballpark in the country where that ball would have been a homer, and it put the Rays into the playoffs. So yes, the retirement ceremony should have happened at either third base or in front of that wall at the Trop next year.
Timing. And look, obviously there are circumstances around it. We get it.
Right.
It's just one of those things that looked a bit odd.
And listen, they've had Hall of Famers play for them. Okay, but best Rays career, it's Longoria, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean,
unless there's a pitcher there that you could name, but best position player.
David Price probably has the best career because he was with the Rays like 8 years. But Longoria is probably the best Ray of all time.
I think so. I think that's spot on.
If for no other reason, he actually stayed with them a few years. Usually they lose them at about somewhere between years 4 and year 6.
So can the Rays keep on keeping on with that really difficult schedule of being away from Tampa for months? I mean, they are basically playing a road game starting here in 2-3 weeks until September. So it'll be interesting to see if they can hang on. I will say with the Braves 10 games below 500, I keep thinking of Ryan Spader on our shows that I just don't see 85 wins for the Braves.
So the Braves have played 65 games. They have 97 games left. They've already played 43 home games, 43 of their 65 at home. So of their 97 games remaining, 59 will be on the road.
But they're all in a row, and then they come back home for the last 6 weeks of the season, basically. So if they can hang on, would there be any type of home field advantage in the end? We shall find out as the summer continues. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when. That's next.
I love
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Mouton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
David, not only is the big fat nap scheduled for today, but I am in dire need of a haircut, and I'm doing something I haven't done in probably 4 years. I'm going to a Sport Clip Great Clip today.
There you go.
Great Clip's got a sign, $9.99 haircuts. Eve took Maddie, instead of like the $80 she has to spend for my daughter at a salon, like, how about the $10 haircut? Here you go.
There you go. Especially when there's no class picture at any point in time in the next 3 months. Right. Next picture you guys take will be on vacation. That's in 3 weeks, so it'll grow in by then anyway.
That's the way I look at it. If they screw it up, it still grows back. I might hassle your buddy Danielson today because I played his course over the weekend. on a reciprocal. Boy, oh boy, is that clubhouse nice.
Oh, is it?
Wow. The bar in the men's grill, like in the men's club, the men's locker room bar, that area is nicer. We just redid our entire clubhouse. Their bar and their men's grill is nicer than our bar.
Next time you're just going to go in and take pictures and come back and go, I'm thinking something along these lines. Of course, they'll go, that's fine. Dues are going to go up.
Well, it's, they when we redid our place, they got a nice workout room, but they ended the men's grill. And that's all I ever want. I like a room when I get done playing that if I let an F-bomb fly out, I don't have to look over my shoulder and see if the 8 ladies that just got done playing are offended by what I said. All I wanted was a room where I can swear freely.
Super Joe, what the hell is going on with the Braves? Please, could somebody explain to me what's going on? It's not enough for me, Clark. I need double that. In fact, I'm going to do that here coming up. After the show, I'm going to eat 2 sandwiches. I'll be asleep by 10:30. I got to get up at 11:15.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. David Sampson on the show tomorrow. We'll look back at Game 3 in the battle for Lord Stanley's Cup. We'll begin to preview the U.S. Open. It's underway Thursday at Oakmont. Got to admit, I'm not looking forward to it. And I am openly rooting for someone other than Scotty Scheffler. I just need a little spice, a little variety. Just somebody, anybody. Although Scheffler's never won the U.S. Open, has he?
No, he is not.
No.
Sign me up for Scheffler Rory, although, Rory. By the way, I think Rory missed the cut on purpose at the Canadian Open.
I don't think it's out of question.
I mean, I don't think that he shot 78 thinking I can win. I think he went out there and said, I'm going to get the hell out of here after this round.
I've already won this tournament before, and you know what? I've played enough golf.
Yeah, I really, call me crazy, but I don't think Rory wanted to be in Canada over the weekend.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was the day when, brought to you by the good folks at Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples. Call today, 239-427-3441. That's 239-427-3441. Or online, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Mention Miller and Moulton, and you will get 10% off. We start in 1899 when James Jeffries KOs defending champion Bob Fitzsimmons of England in the 11th round in Brooklyn to win the world heavyweight title. They say it was the first real world heavyweight title. Honus Wagner becomes the second to get 3,000 hits today in 1914. The first appearance of Donald Duck was in the cartoon Wise Little Hen today in 1934. Happy birthday to the duck. FDR signs the Current Tax Payment Act into law, where taxes withheld from the workers' wages go straight to the government. Mel Ott, not just a good crossword puzzle Answer, but he was the first manager in Major League Baseball history to be ejected from both games of a doubleheader today in 1946. Tony Bennett makes his Carnegie Hall concert debut today in 1962. Secretariat wins the Belmont, becoming the first Triple Crown winner in 25 years today in 73. It was today in 78 that Larry Holmes beat Ken Norton in a 15-round split decision at Caesars Palace for the WBC heavyweight boxing title.
I begged with people for years. It's the best fight that never gets talked about. They were even on all three judges' scorecards through 14 rounds. Holmes got two of the three judges to view the 15th round his way. Literally, I'd want you to watch the whole fight. If you could watch the 15th round, that would be enough. I think it's the best 15th round I've ever seen.
Today in 1980, a Richard Pryor didn't freebase the right way and burn himself up.
What was it Pryor's line or Carlin's line?
It was Carlin's line. He's like, Richard had a heart attack, then I had a heart attack, then Richard burned himself up. And I said, F that, I'm going to have another heart attack.
Right.
And when Pryor does the Sunset Strip thing, and he goes, I've heard the jokes, and he has the match.
Yep.
And he starts,
Yep. And so if you're keeping score at home, okay, heart attacks, Carlin 2-1, but I burned myself up.
85 NBA championship was today in Boston. The Lakers defeat the Celtics in 6. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, your MVP.
It was the first time any team had won the championship in the famed Boston Garden. The Celtics never lost. And so the thought was, yeah, we returned home down 3-2. But, I mean, remember the year before, Game 7, Boston Garden? Okay, the Celtics won. We're back home. 2-3-2 format. We'll win both games. Lakers finally win in Boston to win the title.
The number one album in the land today in 1990 was MC Hammer's Please Hammer, Don't Hurt 'Em. Just the second rap album to reach number one. If you were wondering, Licensed to Ill by the Beasties was the first. Today in 93, the Canadians beat the Kings. They would win the Cup in 5. This is the last time a team from that nation would win Lord Stanley's Cup. 01, the Avs beat the defending champs New Jersey in 7, second title for the Avs.
And Ray Bourque gets his cup.
03, New Jersey beats Anaheim in 7 for the Cup. In 2010, the Blackhawks beat the Flyers in overtime to win it in 6, the first championship for Chicago since 1961. Patrick Kane, the game-winning goal in overtime.
That everyone missed except Patrick Kane. Remember?
Yeah.
Mike never came on.
Right.
Okay. Emmerich didn't have it. All right. It went under the pad and got lodged underneath in the back of the goal. So, if you're looking at the net, there's no puck in the net. The light didn't go on. Kane's skating around celebrating like I just won the cup. And everybody's certainly looking at him like, are you having a stroke?
Today in 2018, Justify with Mike Smith aboard becomes the 13th Triple Crown winner. And David Ortiz was shot in the DR today in 2019. Les Paul, Jackie Mason, and Jackie Wilson would have all celebrated birthdays today. Dickie V, Dick Vitale, is 86 years old. The Cobra, Dave Parker, is 74. Michael J. Fox is 64. And Johnny Depp is 62. What did I miss, David?
You didn't miss anything. By the way, Dickie V, I think over the weekend got inducted into the Tampa Sports Hall of Fame.
Begging the question, why did they wait so long?
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm sorry. I mean, speaking of a guy that was probably there to see Longoria's thing, it would be Dickie V. He's the biggest Rays fan in town. I mean, unbelievable.
And Mark, just one thing. You missed one thing. And what a momentous occasion it was. It was 3 years ago today that the first tee shots were hit in the history of the LIV. And the PGA Tour immediately suspended 17 players.
Time to see.
It's true.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
All right. First and foremost, I have some follow-ups. It was a couple of months ago that we talked about the two otters that had escaped from a Wisconsin zoo. They were able to capture one of the otters. The other has been gone since March, and the zoo has called off the search for the otter, explaining the animal, and I quote, has made the decision to be a wild otter.
What is this, like the prisoners who escaped from Alcatraz? I mean, they said, they probably died.
And in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, the runaway pet zebra that was on the loose for more than a week was captured on Sunday. Ed the zebra was captured safely after being located in a pasture near a subdivision in Murfreesboro. All right, for the good, we go to Oakmont, David. Matt Vogt was a caddy at Oakmont. He is now a dentist.
Yeah.
And the 34-year-old qualified for the U.S. Open at Oakmont, where he once was a caddy.
His dad passed away a couple months ago, but he said he'll definitely be looking down from above. And yeah, this is my hometown. It's my home course. And I believe he went to the qualifier in Walla Walla.
That's correct.
And shot 268s.
For the bad, we come back to Southwest Florida and go to Cape Coral. Well, FHP arrested a suspected drunk driver on the Midpoint Bridge. He was doing 90 miles an hour in the 45-mile-an-hour zone, and when he was pulled over, appeared to be quite hammered, not to mention the solo cup full of bourbon that was right next to him.
It's iced tea, Ossifer.
Finally, the ugly. We go to Central Florida, where the Osceola County Sheriff is in a little bit of trouble. Marcos Lopez is facing charges of racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering after a multi-agency investigation linked him to running illegal gambling across Lake and Osceola counties. His illegal gambling operation generated more than $21 million. Did I say he was the sheriff of Osceola County?
Well, he knew how everything worked.
They expect many more arrests, and that's because sheriff's going to be talking soon. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Monday, June the 9th, here on Miller and Mouton.
Listen, I criticize certain networks for not showing other teams, hey, do we have to see the same 6 teams all the time? But I got to hand it to the guys at Fox tonight. They got a baseball doubleheader on FS1. The first game is the Marlins at the Pirates.
You have got to be kidding me.
It's the Marlins at the Pirates, and Skeens ain't pitching because he pitched yesterday. That's okay.
Holy crap.
That's okay.
The Pirates are 14 games below 500. The Marlins are 15 games below 500.
That's okay. Now, what game could they show? Cubs and Phillies, maybe in Philadelphia. Anybody? The game starts at the exact same time. Anybody? Now,
you name me a player worth watching in the Marlins Pirates game. I'm being serious. You could put on the Reds and the Guardians. At least I have Dela Cruz playing, and he's worth going to the ballpark to watch every night.
And you got the Hall of Famer in Cleveland also. Okay. Then at 9:40, they got two games going on at the same time. They're going to show us Seattle at Arizona. One team's barely over 500. One team's struggling, a bunch of pitching injuries. They're below 500. At the same time, the Dodgers are playing the Padres. What?
What are you thinking?
You could show us Cubs, Phillies early, Dodgers, Padres late. You're showing us Marlins, Pirates, Mariners, D-backs? Are you trying to get fired? Are you Peter DeBoer after losing to Edmonton in Game 5? He got fired, by the way, over the weekend. One other thing. 7 o'clock tonight, ESPN, Murray State Duke. If you're interested, winner goes to Omaha as the 8th and final team. Obviously, Game 3 in the battle for Lord Stanley's Cup, 8 o'clock tonight, TNT. They do an hour pregame show, and if you're interested, they start at 7, drop the puck at about 8:15, 8:20. But TNT and True TV, a simulcast, Edmonton and Florida, series tied at 1. Did you see the news Chris Godwin made? We got OTAs. People are talking. So Godwin was asked, hey, the Patriots in free agency, they offer you more money? He goes, oh, yeah. Well, how much more? $30 million? Wait, what? Yeah, they offered me at least $30 million. There were incentives that I thought were reachable. I could have made 32, 33. He signed at Tampa for 22. Hey, I know there's taxes in Massachusetts. There ain't 8 to 11 million a year in taxes.
Nope.
Damn.
I'll continue to let Baker throw me the ball. You got a nice young quarterback there, but I'm going to go with this Baker Mayfield guy, and I'm going to go with this Evans guy alongside me, so I don't see the double coverage that I would see if I were going to New England.
And we're going to play on grass. And have you noticed the difference in weather in midseason? Right. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So Game 3 tonight, Edmonton in Florida, 8 o'clock drop of the puck. I say the Panthers win Game 3.
I do as well, but I think it's a 1-1, 2-2, 3-3 series. I really do.
I think Edmonton could win the next two. I'm right there with you. Have a great rest of your Monday. Enjoy Game 3 tonight. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to break it all down. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks lie peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Miller and Moulton are very grateful to you, the listeners, for making us one of the highest rated shows for men, because the working man is one of the toughest demos to reach, and we do. Great sponsors like Floor Meisters, American Paint Supplies, Glass Doctor, Sleep Treatment Direct, Game Day Men's Health, and Molly Maid recognize that, and we thank them. And if you own a business and working men are your clientele, the most cost-effective way to reach them is through us. Text Miller and Moulton at 21,000 or directly via X at that Mark Miller or the David.
This is Miller and Moulton